Oyez, oyez, oyez. Silence is commanded by this honorable commission. All those having business, draw near.
Good morning and thank you. You may be seated at this time. I'm going to ask everyone now to check your cell phones or whatever electronic device you have so that it doesn't go off on these proceedings. Please silence them. All right, or turn them off. And I ask you to be seated at this time as we get ready to bring to your front our inspirationalist and our invocationalist today. He is the Reverend Dr. Clarence Teddy Williams, pastor of the Pilgrim Baptist Church of Savannah. He is someone that I've known all his life, I think. But we are so joined hips together until when I say this now, don't be filing no lawsuits and stuff. But he and I share a daughter. His daughter is my daughter, and I think I give her more orders than he does, okay, about doing things because she happens to be my director of music ministry at the church that I pastor. And so Dr. Williams is coming today. We are so glad to have him here present to bring us our words of encouragement and to bring us our inspiration. And when he indicates the time for prayer, we're going to ask everybody to restand. Following his prayer, we're going to ask Commissioner Lockett that he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend Dr. Williams.
Thank you, Chairman Ellis, and to our commissioners. I only have a page and a half, and if I go longer than 6 minutes, I expect Commissioner Adams just to cough. Practice, make sure your mic don't cough. Cough one time, and I'll make sure I hear you. There you go, okay. Okay. I'm honored, and I want to thank whoever made the call yesterday to have me to come. Let me read for our inspirational. Just one verse from Psalm 127, verse number 1. And I do believe that all of our commissioners and those who are present today and those who have business with the county are people of faith. So with that in the backdrop, let me read Psalm 127, verse number 1. I'm going to read it from 3 translations. By the time I get to the last translation, I think you would have gotten it because some of y'all went to Beach High School and y'all don't catch things quick. So I have to say it 3 different ways. By the time I get to the 3rd translation, the Beach High folk will understand. Oh, thank you. Psalm 127, verse number 1, the King James rendering. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. International Standard Version. Unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor uselessly. Unless the Lord guards the city, the security forces keep watch uselessly. Now here's the one for all of us, without any long explanation. This is the Message Bible. If God doesn't build the house, I thought I had an amen there. If God doesn't build the house, the builders only build shacks. If God doesn't guard the city, the night watchman might as well take a nap. I'm musical, as the chairman stated. My daughter and a couple more of my children are musical, but I think I can drive this home with some words from a song that you may have sung in your church. And this is what I'm saying, the very essence of what I'm sharing with you in this inspirational as you move forward. And I'm believing that you all are people of faith. Without God, I could do nothing. Without Him, I would fail. Without Him, my life would be drifting like a ship without a sail. What are you saying this morning, Reverend, before you pray? Don't y'all sail off without God. And that's why we have these inspirationals. That's why you pray at these meetings, because you don't want to sail off without God. Except He's in it. All that you do, all the business you're trying to handle on trying to make, not Savannah, but this county, one Chatham. You can try all you want, but without God, it ain't going to be done. Amen. Let us pray. That's your cue to stand up. And we're going to get ready to move in, and we're going to ask God's blessing upon the business at hand today, this agenda. Father, we do thank you for this day that you've given us another chance, and with another chance, we make choices. And, oh God, our first choice today is to tell you thank you for keeping us and providing for us. And God, now I invoke your presence in this meeting today. Guide our commissioners through this period of business for the sake of our county as we seek to become one Chatham. Keep us, oh God. We acknowledge you, and you said in your word, if we acknowledge you, you will direct our path. And so we are acknowledging you this morning. Bless us and keep us now. In the name of Jesus the Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me say to Pastor Williams, we thank you for bringing your words of inspiration, and they're right on time. We thank you for your prayer. And let me say now, so that we can balance things out, Jenkins has a new gym, Beach has a new gym. We're going to bring you and Commissioner Rivers. He going to be the home team at one game, and you're going to be the home team at the other, and just y'all playing each other. And then y'all make it out, all right? So then yeah, I'm setting you up so that he can get back, okay? Because he told me, he came up and whispered in my ear, you already stole his parking space. And then you came in here talking about him. So I'll have the sheriff and them put on guard so we don't let no other people interfere. And y'all play, each one play a game in their new gym. And then whoever come out, then we'll celebrate the winner, all right? God bless you, and thank you, sir, for being here with us. Yes, sir. You got all that taken care of. Roll call.
Chester A. Ellis, Chairman.
Present.
Kenneth A. Adams, District 8, Vice Chairman.
Present.
Helen L. Stone, District 1, Chairman Pro Tem.
Present.
Larry Gator Rivers, District 2.
Present.
Bobby Lockett, District 3.
Here.
Patrick K. Farrell, District 4.
Here.
Tanya Milton, District 5.
I'm on the line.
Aaron Whiteley,
Let me
District
see.
6.
Here.
Dean Kicklider, District 7.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Sir.
At this time, we go to item 5 on the agenda, which is the third public hearing on the 2022 millage levy as required by law. To hold a public hearing as required by the state law on the county's intention to levy a millage rate that differs from the calculated rollback millage rate for ad valorem taxes purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, this hearing is being held in compliance with state law. The Chatham County Board of Commissioners have announced publicly its intention to increase the property tax it levies by this year by 9.75% over the rollback millage rate for the general maintenance, and operation taxes by 6.64% over the rollback millage rate for the special service district tax and by 8.90% over the rollback millage rate for Chatham Area Transit Authority. This gives the Board of Commissioners the option of adopting the millage rate recommended to balance the proposed budget. The purpose of this hearing is to provide members of the public the opportunity to comment. All right, are there any, do we have anyone sign up? All right.
Chairman, may I speak first, just to eliminate maybe some people's misunderstandings before?
I'm looking at the law.
Do I need to sign off and sign back
Is
on?
it okay for me
Wait a
to
minute, just
speak
hold on a minute.
first?
Can-
I mean, they're still gonna
Can the
speak,
commissioner
but-
speak first before the public, or do we have to go? Okay, go ahead. We'll
you.
recommend, we'll recognize Commissioner Kicklighter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to possibly clear up something from the mandated advertising that the state of Georgia makes the county do. Basically, back in the beginning, before we knew what the tax digest would be, we had to use that advertisement saying that we were going to increase taxes if we were not going to roll them back. At that point, we didn't know what the tax digest would be, so in order to meet the time deadlines, that advertisement had to start. Tax digest came in very good, very high. This body has, thank God, decided to roll back the taxes, but the state of Georgia still requires that advertisement, which is very much misleading. And I'll say this too, the advertisement is very much misleading, even if we didn't roll back the taxes, because they're telling you whatever the tax digest increased, that you have to roll it all the way back to get rid of that amount of revenue as far as the millage rate goes. So it's very false, probably looked good when they did it, made them look like they were doing something, but they were basically shifting some type of false blame to local governments when they enacted that. Now, what we're doing here today, as far as every single budget that we oversee, that we have the authority to oversee, we are actually reducing the millage rate in all three of them. That's the M&O portion of the Chatham County budget, that is the SSD portion of the Chatham County budget, and that is the Chatham Area Transit portion of the budget. We are reducing the millage rate, rolling it back to meet the required offset monies that the state requires. So basically what that means in a nutshell is that if you live in Chatham County, if you're fortunate, I'll say this, because I would venture to think we're one of a few. If you're fortunate enough to live in Chatham County and you filed your Stevens Day homestead exemption bill, you are actually going to receive a tax reduction because your millage rate is coming down today. But the value that you were taxed on was frozen the very day you filed that homestead exemption in Stevens Day. So the large majority of homeowners, should be all homeowners, but I know some people just don't get out and file things, should actually be receiving a tax reduction here today. So I'm very proud of what this body, this staff, this, I guess, all of our economy, everything, what we've been able to accomplish here today. And I wanted to clear up for everyone, just make it very clear, what's happening here today is a great thing. And contrary to that misleading, false, silly advertisement the state of Georgia requires local governments to do. As far as the Board of Education, we don't control what they charge you. You may look on your bills when they come in. We have no built-in CPI index, which I believe the Board of Education has a small one built in. I believe that some of the local cities has built-in CPI, which means your Stevens Day basically exemption increases by a small amount each year automatically. The county never did that from day one. Ours has never done that. Again, every single thing that we have authority and responsibility over, we are reducing that millage rate today. And I just wanted that to be very clear because I could only imagine as much as food costs right now, gas costs, rent costs, everything. There's some people probably out there really ticked off, and we understand it, and that's why we've worked hard to actually reduce it rather than even keeping it the same. So thank you.
All right, having said that, now we close our list. Our first public hearing, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. Good morning. No criticism to the writing of anyone on here. I'm going to start with, it's Huggins, 214 East 32nd Street.
All right, Mr. Huggins, if you're here, step forward.
If I pronounced it wrong, I
All right.
apologize.
You got it right, sir. Thank you.
You have the mic.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for that. I just touched something up here. My name is Jeremy Lee Huggins. I'm a resident of here, city of Savannah, Georgia. Looking around the city of Savannah, it's no secret gentrification's here. Property values are skyrocketing, which I saw firsthand on my recent 2022 property tax assessment. Without changing the millage rate, my property taxes on my primary residence are proposed to increase over 32%, and that's with my Stevens Day and homestead exemption in place. And that is my primary residence. This has devastated my escrow account, put additional burdens on my family and finances. My property value was not frozen. I also want to remind everyone here that of Newton's third law, which is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. An increase in a millage rate will force landlords to compensate by raising rents in order to award liens and foreclosure. This in turn will affect the affordability of housing across the city of Savannah, hurting the very constituents who voted our leadership into office. I implore you to protect the people of Savannah and actually reduce the millage rate. Our families depend on you, and thank you for your time.
All right, next. Let's let them finish and then we come back. Okay, no, come on. Who's next? Somebody's
All
on
right.
Zoom.
William Bosch? Bohack, okay. I thought, but I wasn't sure. 14 Sedgewater?
Yes, sir.
All right. For the record, state your name and address, all right, so we have it straight.
My name is William Bohack, 14 Sedgewater Retreat, Savannah, Georgia.
All right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I have some questions for you. Sir, thank you for telling us, but before, sir, thank you for telling us about the millage reduction. That's always good news. I have 7 questions that I'd like to ask with regarding to this. It may be moot because of the millage reduction, but I need to ask them. And the first one was why the millage rate's going up, but that got negated. The second one, why are there significant differences in the taxes and values between houses that are very similar in cost, value, price, very close in values in Chatham County?
We don't assess the values of homes. We don't.
Yes,
Right,
sir.
That comes from the Board of Assessors.
Okay,
So,
I'll give
as
an,
to why you need to take that to them.
okay, take it to them?
Take it to the Board of
Yes,
Assessors.
sir.
Yes, sir.
And the reason I ask is I found 2 houses very similar in the neighborhood, and mine was the highest of the 3, and they had lower values than I did. Okay, second question. It seems that we don't have a flat tax assessment. In other words, where everybody's getting taxed at the same values based on their original assessment. That ties in with the first
That
question.
ties into with the first one. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
It goes to what the Board of Assessors said the value of your home is.
Yes, sir.
Also state law.
State law.
Say again, please.
It is the state law. There's
Okay.
only one method of calculating ad valorem tax, and that's permitted by statute. And there's got to be uniformity of assessment throughout the entire tax base. If you do a flat tax, you will not have uniformity of assessment. You will have a digest that will not be accepted by the Department of Revenue.
Thank you, sir. How is the assessed value arrived at? That ties back into the first question.
Yes, sir.
I'm figuring this out.
Okay. But I'm glad you're getting to do that.
I'm getting good at it
Yeah,
now.
so you'll know where to go.
Will these taxes include fire protection? Because there came out an article that we were mailed that stated that South Side Fire Protection, people are not paying it, and that they have a deal with Chatham County to, so will that be included in the taxes?
If you're in the unincorporated areas,
Yes, sir?
right, the fire, is fire fee, all right, will apply, okay? But if you live in one of the municipalities, City of Savannah or Garden City, or, and I'm not sure where your address is, then the fire protection is under their jurisdiction.
Are they is there any plan, sir, to bring aboard fire protection?
You will get a separate bill
For fire protection.
Yes, I do get a separate bill for fire protection.
Right.
Is there any plans to bring that under your cognizance?
Not right now, no, sir.
Okay. What services do we get for our taxes? Because we don't get water, we pay for our own water, we pay for our own sewage, we pay for our own trash, and no fire protection. We do get some police services, and we do get some emergency services.
All right. The attorney's gonna give you the list of what your taxes pay for.
Now, this is something that only the county provides to all citizens of the county. They receive the services of the Sheriff's Department, Chatham County Jail, the Health Department, the roads, streets, and bridges, the Board of Assessors, the Board of Equalization, the Tax Commissioner, the Board of Elections, Animal Control, Mental Health Services, Stormwater Drainage, Superior Court, State Court, Magistrates Court, Probate Court, Juvenile Court, E911, District Attorney, Public Defender, Indigent Defense, Curtis V. Cooper Clinic, Curtis Lewis Clinic, the Library, and FEMA.
And mosquito control.
Oh, yeah, Recorder's Court is on that list,
And
of
mosquito
course.
controls.
Okay.
Good point, I missed that one.
And now, a lot of those are mandated to us by the state. That's what your
Yes, sir.
taxes pay for.
Okay. May I get a copy of that
Sure.
at the end?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Okay, what I was gonna say is, where we don't get the water fire, why aren't taxes not based upon the services provided? Because we don't get, as I mentioned before, no water, sewage, fire protection, no trash, no,
Fire service, yeah, go ahead.
It's 25 fees.
I had the great opportunity at one time to be mayor of one of our cities here, and you can rest assured that most of the cities, or at least the one I was over, when they have water services, that's usually a totally separate fee all in itself.
okay?
So, and even at that city, the garbage was a separate fee the citizens had to pay. At the time I was there, it was a tax-free city. I believe they've enacted that, but I'm pretty certain that they still have their separate, well, I know they do because I own a business there. They still bill you separate for your water, bill you separate for your garbage collection. And that was something we looked at closely with this recent endeavor with the fire because sadly, I think like 75% of the people were paying for this volunteer fire department. 25% wasn't pulling their part, and they were letting the other 75% do it. So we looked at it really hard, where there was no easy answer, and we, after assessing it that way, we came to the conclusion that it was probably more fair to bill the unincorporated area based on the square footage, more or less, of the home, more so than on property value. And the way we did that is, if you take, I believe, and I'll speak for me on this, I was under, which I would assume the others too, under the impression that it would take a fire department just as much time, money, energy, effort to put out 1,000 square foot home sitting on deep water that's valued at $2 million as it would to put out a 500 square foot mobile home sitting in the middle of the woods. So by going on square feet, it was a fair fee to fight fire rather than tax value. If you had your $2 million property over there with a small place on it, you may have paid $2,000 a year. While the same thing over here, so in that one we struggled with that. And we did all come to that conclusion that it would be more fair to go off of square feet. As far as water and sewer goes, you're supposed to, with every government, it's, what's the name of that, enterprise?
Enterprise.
Yeah, enterprise fund. You're, right, it's supposed to be self-supporting. The government is not supposed to be able to charge you more than it actually costs to run that operation. So that's kind of what you get there. But I too thought it was very strange when I first got over here that the taxes for the fire was not included. You know, it wasn't a tax at the time, but that's the way it was structured 100 years ago. And then when we were forced to really look at it, we believe we found the fairest way to provide y'all with that service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And the last question is it and you, I believe that you mentioned it this morning, taxing authority is following the Stevens Day bill. Okay. Those are the questions that I have.
Okay.
And I'd like to speak to Mr. Farrell at the end, if I may.
All right, if you want to do that after the meeting today.
Yes, sir,
you
after
can
the
get into-
meeting.
Then that's up to you and him, okay? Yeah, he will speak with you.
Deal.
Yeah, he'll be available to you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
All righty, let's go to the next.
Terrence Bennett.
How you doing?
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. I'm kind of a member of District 6, District 5, and District 3, and I got property all over Savannah, so I'm kind of Chatham County. So I came to represent, and thank God we came here, and we have some really able-bodied, sound-minded, smart people, to include the commissioner.
Let me ask you to do this, though. Say your name and address.
James Bennett. James
All right,
Bennett,
and address.
one Greengate Court, Savannah, Georgia, 31405.
Okay.
That's my office, Bennett Management, Property Management. We own a lot of property in the county and also city of Savannah. And the fact that you guys are actually rolling back the millage rate is awesome on all levels. When I did my survey, I buy and I sell a property, and we appraise a lot of properties in my business. And I've seen properties that have appraised 200% from last year to now. The county, the city, and everybody is collecting way more taxes from every single resident in Chatham County. So rolling it back and giving us basically a refund or lower taxes is going to be good, because based on the pandemic, which we're still not cleared of, inflation, high gas prices, rents going up, gentrification, I can keep naming all the reasons. The only reason I keep telling people, they can come back and tell you they have higher prices, high maintenance too, and high labor costs based on all those things. But the one thing I keep telling everyone, Google your address. Put your address into Zillow, scroll down to tax assessment at the bottom, and see exactly how much your value went up. The same flat millage rate will increase your property taxes, and I've been paying more taxes. I actually had a bunch of liens on my property because I couldn't afford to pay my taxes because people stopped paying rents. So I really appreciate it. And for every member here, remember, everyone in this audience right here, that's the tax commissioner right there, all right? These are all the people that roll back your taxes. Remember, when it's come to voting, this is what I keep telling people all the time. Remember who you vote for. If you vote for somebody and they take your interest, you're voting it back in. We don't keep on voting people that take away money out of our pockets and our kids' pocket during a global pandemic. What the school board did was really bad because they've been collecting money, and the people that voted to raise your taxes, remember, who voted 6-3, all right? I'm not running for public office, but I'm telling you, all these guys right here have done us, the citizens of Chatham County, a great service by rolling back our taxes, and I really commend you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Aaron, and I approve that message.
Hey, I want his name and address. I might need to follow up with his endorsement.
Is that the last one?
We're serving coffee in District 3.
Is that the last one?
Yes, sir. There are no others signed up.
All right, there's no other signed up at this time. All right, now we will close the public hearing. All right. So close? All right. Let us move on with the agenda. Proclamation recognizing the week of July 30th, 2022 as Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week in Chatham County. Queen Quet, chiefess of the Gullah Geechee Nation, is present and will accept the proclamation. All right? Didn't have, she didn't give me the. It's up there. Okay. Yeah, let me hold that and then I'll give it back to you to give to her. Because they may have given it to me and I left it on the desk. All right, here we go. The County of Chatham, Georgia, proclamation. Whereas the Gullah Geechee people are descendants of enslaved Africans from various ethnic groups of West and Central Africa that were brought to the New World and forced to work on the plantations of coastal South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida. And whereas these African people populated the islands of the region which have already been occupied by the people for which many of the sea islands have been named, including the island of Ossabaw, Hutchinson, Tybee, and beyond, as well as the areas such as Jamacraw, Pinpoint, which became the home of these African people who came to be known as Gullah Geechee. And whereas 20 ministers held a historic meeting in Savannah, Chatham County, Georgia, with Union Secretary of War Irvin M. Stanton and Major General William T. Sherman, which resulted in land ownership, self-sufficiency, and sustaining of Gullah Geechee culture. And whereas Queen Quet, a native of St. Helena's Island, South Carolina, was selected and elected and installed by her people to be the first Queen Mother and official spokesperson for the Gullah Geechee Nation, and was the first Gullah Geechee in the world to speak before the United Nations on behalf of the Gullah Geechee, and is one of the first of 7 inductees into the Gullah Geechee Nation Hall of Fame. Now therefore, I, Chester A. Ellis, Chairman, on behalf of the Chatham County Board of Commissioners, do hereby declare July 30th through August 6th, 2022 as Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week in Chatham County, and support the Gullah Geechee goal to protect their coast and to keep the heritage and legacy of the Gullah Geechee Nation alive. In witness whereof, I hereto set my hands and cause the seal of Chatham County, Georgia, to be affixed this 24th day of June, 2022. All right, present that to the Queen.
Good morning, Honor Chillin. So glad if you did back here one more again, Chairman and Commissioners and things like that. Surely I want to take a moment of silence for my cousin Holmes, who ain't here with we physically, but I knew he did. I see him in that chair, y'all.
All right.
Yes. I see. So thank you one more again. It's unusual for y'all just throw the thing to me. I used to y'all coming down here for we get a picture. I hope we can still get we picture this year, yeah, and things like that. Because I'm always glad if we come here for celebrate with Chatham County, because plenty of the people from the Sea Islands and things like that in South Kakalaki, and some of these Sea Islands right here in Georgia moved to this here city where we today. And plenty of time when they get to this here city, they throw away the way they've been the crack teeth home, and they start talking like this, so a lot of y'all don't think that Gullah Geechees are in the city of Savannah, but they are. They built the city, they've maintained the city, and it's unfortunate to see many being pushed out of the city, and for various reasons that the brother outlined, but also due to climate change issues. So, Chairman, I call on you. You know I spoke to you virtually last year. We were on there when you all started talking about climate change matters and sea level rise. Don't think that because I pay taxes across the bridge that I can't come over here and help. I do this work globally to make sure that our culture is sustained. And without our land, we won't sustain our communities or our culture. This coast is what I give my life to. And so from Jacksonville to Jacksonville, I'm the head of state of all of it. There's no boundary for us. We don't have to deal with that. So anytime y'all need me to come over and loan my expertise to the work you're doing to make sure that these communities of Chatham County, these communities that people call the coastal empire, are sustained, especially if you put the rest of children for the and things like that, for 100 more years for come, the one with cracky teeth like this year, please call on me to do so, and I will be here. I appreciate you. And definitely we're gonna have a number of activities happening again this year for Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week for more people to learn who we be down here. What is our culture? Because many don't know. They come to the city and don't realize where they are because they don't get to hear us and see us celebrating who we are. So please follow GullahGeecheeNation.com, Gullah Geechee on Facebook, at Gullah Geechee on Twitter and Instagram, and Gullah Geechee Nation on TikTok to keep up with all the activities that'll be happening between Jacksonville, and especially here in Chatham County. So thank you all. I'm always happy to come over. Y'all get upset if I tell y'all I wasn't gonna make it to this early morning meeting. So I'm here again, and I thank you, and I definitely thank the pastor for the word that he gave, because it is important to us that we sail on straight and properly, even in the bateau boat like we ancestors been to make, that bring we cross you to Chatham County. So thank y'all once again. I appreciate you.
And thank you for the work you're doing. And let me, at this time, I saw Miss Yvonne Holmes. I saw
Yes,
somewhere.
she's
Where did I
here.
see her? Come on,
She's
stand
here.
up. There she goes.
Yeah.
All right, and that's the widow of James Holmes, Commissioner Holmes, cousin Holmes, all right?
Yeah.
And we just wanted to make sure we recognize and
Yes.
thank you for the work you do and thank you for the partnership that you foster.
Thank you so
All right.
much. Are we getting a photo op, Chairman?
This time, they're telling me, all
No,
right? Yeah,
y'all
no,
can't
this
do it
time.
this time.
So
All right.
we hope to get back there, though,
I hope
real
so.
soon. Yeah,
All right.
Thank you so much.
Peace and blessings, y'all.
all right, peace and blessings. All right, let us now turn to the manager who will introduce for our Employee Service Awards.
Yes, again, good morning. I'd ask, see who is coming up. Okay, so I just saw Carolyn. Ms. Carolyn Smalls, our Human Resources Director, and she will guide us at this time. I'll step down with our service award recipients.
Chairman, I know she knows, but please clarify for anybody that might not, that the reason we wouldn't do the
Right.
picture was because of the COVID.
Because of, the protocol is still in place.
If somebody's watching on TV,
Yeah.
and understand that, they just thought, oh, wow.
I
know. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I want to do that for you, but I said it's not my job.
Yeah.
I thought that was the reason.
Yeah, no, we are not dodging you. Yes, ma'am.
And with my going down of these folks, we're all triple boosted and shot, so we all know. So, we
Okay.
feel pretty good about it.
All right.
Good morning,
Morning.
Chairman Ellis. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, County Manager Smith. I'm very pleased to be here to present our June 2022 Employee Service Awards. We have a group today with us of 11 members of Team Chatham who will receive their award. We're very thankful that you have joined us today. We are so proud of your service, and we congratulate you on your service to Chatham County. So as I call your name, if you would come forward and receive your award from the county manager, and also pause for a photograph, and then return to your seat. So this morning, yes, also if the department manager is here, if you would please join your team member up front as they receive their award and get a photograph as well. Thank you for that. So with that, this morning, we have a team member who is celebrating 20 years of service with Chatham County. So I'm pleased to present Corporal Michelle Shiro with Chatham County Police Department. Mr. Manager, we have 4 team members with 15 years of service to Team Chatham. Yes. And so first, we have Ms. Courtney Middleton with Clerk of Superior Court, who brought not only her manager, but an entourage. And next, we have Captain Richard Brome with the Detention Center. And also celebrating 15 years with Chatham County, Mr. Joseph Simmons with Public Works. And celebrating 15 years of service with the Tax Commissioner's Office, Ms. Donna Reiner. Now, with 10 years of service to Chatham County, we have Deputy Corrections Officer LaShonda Campbell with the Detention Center. And also with 10 years of service, we have Mr. Gregory Williams with Public Works. And with 5 years of service to Team Chatham, Ms. Bernadine Bruin with voter registration.
Look, whenever we have this box, it looks like an engagement ring, so congratulations. Thank you very much.
And celebrating 5 years of service with Parks and Recreation, Mr. Al Brown.
You certainly can.
Safety first.
Him in the park. Good job, Al.
And Steve, don't move.
I was about to say, I see Paul there.
Because also celebrating 5 years of service with Parks and Recreation, Mr. Paul Ravenel II. And last but certainly not least, celebrating 5 years of service with the Detention Center, Corporal Carlos Pichio. That is it. Again, congratulations to all of you on celebrating your years of service with Team Chatham. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And let me do this before they leave because I know they have work to do. Let me first recognize those constitutional officers. There's the sheriff. The sheriff, wave at us, and there you go. And also you see the tax commissioner, Ms. Jackson, and I also see Ms. Mosley from the courts. All right. Who else do I see? I thought I saw somebody else. I didn't? I thought I saw one of the juvenile court judges, but maybe I did. Okay. All right. Let me also do this as one of the commissioners have asked. We want to recognize Wayne Noah, who is here today, and he's regularly at our meeting. And my understanding is today he's retiring from CES, all right, after 38 years and 8 months of service. So Wayne, would you stand? There you go. All right. Thank you so much for the years of service that you have given to us. All right, as we move forth in our agenda, there is no chairman's item, but we do have a commissioner item. At this time, I'm going to call on Commissioner Farrell, who will speak concerning the budget.
Thank you, Chairman, and take the podium so I can face the commission. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners, I appreciate the indulgence that you have granted me today to speak about a subject that's near and dear to my heart as a long-term resident and representative of the unincorporated area.
Let's wire you up right quick.
Wire me up. Well, this might be dangerous now. I can walk around and use my hands.
Professor Farrell.
Yeah. All right.
Pastor Farrell. Yeah.
All right.
Bishop Farrell.
Thank you very much. All right, so what I wanted to talk about today, and it's germane today because we're going to go into budget later in this meeting, but what I wanted to say is a little small historical perspective of the local option sales tax and the special service district. So the special service district was created by commissioners of Chatham County with, of course, under the direction of the state legislature, because we are a subdivision of the state and we are only allowed to do certain things that the state legislature permits us to do. So out of 159 counties, at last count, there was 6 or less counties in the whole state of Georgia that have special service districts. They are not nearly as comprehensive as the special service district that was created for this county by this commission, not from an outside source, but from this commission. So other counties may have like a lighting district or some specific item that they have a special service district, which is a very broad term. However, in this case, Chatham County commissioners in the 70s decided to create a city-like special service district. It is my understanding that it may have been mainly driven by funding the police department. As you probably know, in the state of Georgia with 159 counties, most of the unincorporated areas are policed by the sheriff's department. We are unique. Perhaps that's why we have the reputation of being the independent state of Chatham throughout the state of Georgia. But we are unique in that we have a county police department. I'm not aware of any other county departments. I'm sure there might be a couple, but I would say the vast majority of unincorporated areas throughout the state of Georgia, sheriff's department takes care of that. Your cities have city police departments, and that's good. So in order to fairly raise taxes and pay for our county police department. It is my understanding from the many years of research that I've done, mainly through staff that still sits here today and that was here when I started some 18 years ago, that the Special Service District was created to pay for its own way, so it wouldn't be a burden on the whole county. So the main things that Special Service District pays for is police department and public works. There are multiple other things in the budget, which is in front of you, that the chairman and county manager have given us, that have multiple other items in there. So we have the unique ability to be the city council and mayor of a very large city, one of the largest cities outside of Metro Atlanta, if it were indeed a city, but it's not. It's a special service district. Again, we're very unique here in Chatham County. You have a city, an unincorporated area of 100,000, which is larger than almost most all cities outside of the Metro Atlanta area. So we wear two caps. One is manager of the Special Service District, and one is county commissioners that deal with the same items that all county commissioners throughout the state of Georgia do. Some of them, multiple, were mentioned by the attorney just a few moments ago to help the citizen. So, local option sales tax. State legislature created that back in the 70s, I believe it was. Citizens had a vote on it. Once it became law, it didn't have to be voted on again as long as it was renewed and agreed between the counties and the cities of each county in the state of Georgia. So we went from a 4-cent sales tax, which all went to the state when I was young, very young, had all dark hair, to 5 cents on the dollar for any purchase in Chatham County. The 5th penny was to address property taxes. And it shows to this day where when you get lost funding to your city or county, in this, it shows it on your property taxes that this is what your millage rate would have been had it not been for lost. So there's a rollback right there that largely gets unnoticed by most property owners, but it's there and you can read your property tax. When lost was begun, the state legislature said that whatever you negotiate, basically, that y'all can agree on is okay. And if you're a municipality and you don't think you're getting your fair share, then you can go to this one very important provision called the absent municipality. The absent municipality portion is basically 100% based on population. So it changes with every census. Again, the census is very important. It's done every 10 years, and it has meaning in lots of ways. This is just one of them. So, in the beginning, the county share was based on the population of the unincorporated area. Due to a lawsuit filed from a citizen, I believe from Isle of Hope, Georgia, it went to court. I don't know the particulars. Perhaps Jonathan Hart could enlighten us if that was necessary. But the result was, from the court ruling, that no longer could lost proceeds be used for special service districts for just unincorporated citizens. They had to be used for the betterment of the whole county. Okay? So, through no fault of this commission or really anyone's, that's the way it is. That's the way it's been for nearly 50 years. So any lost money that comes to the county has to be spent countywide. The reason I say this is because we here treat the unincorporated area like a city. We expect them to pay their fair, reasonable, and just share of their expenses that are exclusive to them. Sort of like what Commissioner Kicklighter was talking to the gentleman earlier about everybody has to pay for their trash individually. Everybody has to pay for their water, sewer, that sort of thing. So the concept is valid and it's just. However, due to circumstances beyond our control, the unincorporated area donates all of its share to the pot. They don't get a share anymore that was originally intended for them based on their population. If they were, and if we change the unincorporated area from SSD to an entire city of nearly 100,000, I had staff calculate this week what the lost share under the 2020 census would be. The unincorporated area, if it were a city, would get 31.06% of the lost, no questions asked. So you ask, how much money are we talking about? We're talking about, and I'm going to use Dean Kicklighter's method of communication. Whoa, I need a fatter marker than this. Well, you have one with a bigger tip. Oh, wait a minute, I picked up the wrong size tip. Got to learn how to use my markers. Yeah, I'll get to it. All right, this is my first time. Let's see how this one works. Well, still not very good. I guess they gave me a dud here. Let's find one that maybe has a little better. Well, this one works a little better. Sort of like the Public Works uniforms. No. 27,876, 890. So that's approximately $28 million. Where Chatham County, unincorporated area, became a city, and we went to a loss negotiation, they would be entitled without any qualms or quarrels from anyone, this amount of money. Now, what in fact is happening is that since we're not, that money that theoretically would go to this Chatham city of 100,000 now goes into the pot. Now all the 7 municipalities and the county M&O divvy up that pot amongst themselves. And remember, the M&O portion, which I think is around 20 million today, give or take, goes only to services that touches every citizen in the county. But for instance, let's take the city of Savannah. Their portion can be used on things specific to the city of Savannah. Whatever they put in their budget, they can not have to charge as much property taxes. So there's an iniquity here. Okay, thank you. There's an iniquity right off the rip of nearly $28 million each year that the unincorporated area theoretically should have. Under our scenario that we created, where we make it a standalone city-type organization. There's another one called franchise fees, okay? Franchise fees are derived, it's kind of an embedded tax. And we have it on cable, and we actually get the cable money that goes to the county. But there's franchise fees on the electric bill and on the natural gas bill that every unincorporated citizen that has those services pays. It's not much, a few dollars a month, but it adds up. Because it's not a municipality, all these fees go to Atlanta, and they come back, even though they're raised by 100,000 people in the unincorporated area, that money is redistributed by the state and goes to the 7 municipalities. How much is that? great question. $4,100,000 every year is taken from the unincorporated area and redistributed to the 7 cities. They don't get any of that money. So, I just wanted to point out that as this body treats the unincorporated area like a city, and on most points, that is a fair, just, and reasonable situation that you pay for what you get. But when you exclude them categorically, through no fault of this board here, from $28 million per year of lost money and $4 million of franchise fees, that's a huge iniquity. Huge. So I just wanted to bring that up so that board members would have a clear idea of how our system, although well-intended, over the last 50 years, has gotten out of balance. And it's not as fair to the citizens as it could be. We, through ACCG and through staff and myself, have tried to figure a way to mitigate this. And because we are so unique in having an SSD to begin with, it's virtually been deemed impossible to get the state legislature to change the lost law, because it would create so much upheaval throughout the state, and it would mainly benefit us. So that's not going to happen. One thing I wanted to also put out there was that just an example, if the unincorporated area became a city and we had the same budget, these are some assumptions. We know from this year's proposed 2023 budget that we are raising from property taxes $32,235,000 from the proposed millage, okay? $32 million. My good friend, Mayor Kicklighter from Garden City, mentioned how they were a tax-free city. Can you just imagine if Chatham County incorporated all the unincorporated area under a gold dome and became the city of Chatham County? The numbers I had on this, 28 million plus 4 million, is magically roughly $32 million. This is how much of our budget is proposed for 2023 from general property taxes. You could have a tax-free unincorporated area, just like Garden City used to have. And then your other fees would fill out the rest of the budget. Okay, these are all assumptions, but they're all based on fact. So, in essence, the unincorporated area sends $32 million a year to the 7 cities of Chatham County. So, anybody that lives in the city, in this county, when you see your friends and neighbors, thank them for the wonderful gift that keeps on giving every year. And this has been going on for 50 years. This is just today's numbers, but it's been going on, and that's kind of how it is. Now, there was a push recently from some of the folks in the 4th District to incorporate a portion of the unincorporated area. Skidaway Island, for instance, did the study, and they figured this out, and they got it on the ballot, and they could have had a tax-free city using their local option sales tax. And they could have had home rule from people that actually live in that particular municipality. Now, they voted in the majority to keep this group as their local council and to take their portion of the lost money in the franchise fees and to continue sending it to all the 7 cities. So anybody that knows somebody on Skidaway Island and you live in one of the 7 other cities, be sure to thank them for the wonderful gift that they voted for and gave you. And the vote of confidence that they gave to this board to continue to represent them, because now they do not have a city council. The other islands in the 4th District attempted to do this, and they were making headway. Wilmington, Whitmarsh, Tulare, and Oatland, I believe it was. And for some reason, after at some point, it never made it to the ballot. So they too continue to contribute all their franchise fee money that would go to their island city, and their local option sales tax they also donated because they didn't follow through and get it on the election and they didn't vote for it. Now everybody has a choice, and these are great choices, and it's the American way to vote on things. But I just wanted to point out today to my fellow commissioners that the system that we have, although it looks very fair to ask unincorporated people to pay their fair share, we have to remember that they are not getting their fair share of revenue streams. They are sharing their revenue stream to the tune of $32 million this year with their 7 cities. Now, the one last point I want to make, and perhaps Linda, our former finance director, could help me here. Traditionally, the unincorporated area, when it comes to property tax, general property taxes raised in the M&O, we know that there's about 300,000 people in the county as a whole. There's about 100,000, so roughly 33% of the population resides in the unincorporated area. The unincorporated area, very fortunately or unfortunately, actually generates approximately 39 or 40% of the revenue for the M&O budget that we distribute countywide. So, it's not a bad thing to be an area with high property values that generates a lot of money, but it's there. So the unincorporated folks not only donate $32 million a year to the 7 cities, but they also pay 40% of the budget, the part of the budget that's raised from general property taxes. But they only represent 1/3 of the citizens. All right, so these are some points I wanted to make, and I appreciate your indulgence. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but we got a lot on the agenda, and this will become more germane when we get into the budget discussions. So unless there's any questions.
I got a question.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
So, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So thank you for that, Commissioner Farrell. So with all that being said, how do you propose, or do you have an idea of how we can, try to create some sort of equilibrium there for unincorporated citizens?
To solve the big $32 million hole, I do not have a solution, except that you could become a municipality, which is a process, a very long, arduous process, and you'd have to get buy-in from your citizens. That's one solution. And it would take some of the activities that we do as a commission board out of our realm and put it into a city council realm. But when we get to the budget part, the one thing that this commission does have total control over is the budget to the SSD and the budget to the M&O. And as I have mentioned before, but probably not very eloquently, for the best of reasons, staff continues to recommend an indirect cost to go from the Special Service District unincorporated fund over to the M&O. The rationale is really good. you're paying your fair share for the services of the finance department, the county manager's office, the attorney's office, all that. In a fair and equal, just world, that would make perfect sense. But when you interject the huge iniquity, which I pointed out, to how the citizens that are being taxed and where their money's going, I think it's an injustice to ask those citizens to put another nearly $4 million out of their property tax and fees and their revenue stream and transfer it over to the M&O. I think that's a small, very small item that could be looked at and could be eliminated totally to try to mitigate just a small portion of it. It will get nowhere near making it equal or fair, but it is a token movement that we do have the power as budget approvers to do. Any other questions?
All right, Commissioner Kicklighter.
Thank you. Commissioner, I want to first say that was an outstanding presentation, not because you presented it on paper old school like I like to do, but you did a great job explaining basically how the unincorporated area, the monies that that they're by state law donating to all of the cities is a complete wash with their own budget.
So basically, if you looked at it another way, whatever millage rate that unincorporated people are paying on the property that they own,
yes,
if you just look at the dollars, those dollars are going to the benefit of our 7 cities.
So after listening to that, you did a great job. And I now understand why staff has not recommended straightening out the problem. Not the fault of our current staff, not the fault of our current commission, not a fault of even our current state delegation. Back in the day, when this county commission wanted more authority, wanted more power, and they created this special taxing district so they could control a police department rather than allowing the elected sheriff to patrol unincorporated areas like they do in virtually every other county throughout the state of Georgia. That happened then. None of our faults, nobody's fault. But the only way to correct this, and here's what I'm gonna ask, you have so many numbers there that's really very impressive. If you take and make this a wash, do you have a comparison millage rate if the M&O were to absorb the SSD budget entirely, what it would take it from currently for all residents, what it would take it to?
I do not. Staff may have some idea of what it would take, and I'm sure it would be a huge disruption to the system.
I'm sure, and I don't expect to do that today, but
no,
yeah, I don't
hope
expect
not.
to rock a boat like that. But out of curiosity,
but it is,
because you've done a really good job, what are we looking at?
The property tax would be 1.6 mils in the general fund.
And I did.
Just using the general
So
fund
just
value of a mill.
1.6 more.
Yeah, but you couldn't do it this year because you haven't
No,
advertised. It'd be
but
too
if
high.
we 1.6 more than what? Than what we're proposing today, or what we're
Yes.
currently at right
Then
this?
what you're proposing today.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if we did not, hypothetical,
Yeah.
if we did not roll it back today,
Right,
how much more would that have been to absorb it?
0.535.
Wow.
so for 0.53, a half a mil, if we eliminated the special service district as a taxing area and put it on the M&O, and remember, a third of the population is located in an unincorporated area. They're already paying 40% of the M&O budget, which is more than what some would consider their fair share. But they own more expensive property, and that's the way the ball bounces.
And I want to point out something else for the public watching at home, and again, you've done an outstanding job. What the public does not realize that the cities have done, which I understand, they're elected to represent their cities, we're elected to represent everywhere. But throughout the years, every time the county gets a nice development or land that's great for development, the city swoop in and buy water gun, which means they own the above-ground water treatment plant. They can offer water. They want to, they pretty much blackmail people into getting annexed in. What they do, they go take the good revenues away from the county, from the unincorporated area, and they leave the roads. They leave, we discussed this morning, falling in docks on the side of Hutchinson Island, and they take everything there that makes the revenues, where they leave those roads for those unincorporated area residents to continue to pay for, although there is no unincorporated area out there. And it's been a very unjust system, and I am absolutely blown away that in 26 years of being an elected official, I've never once voted for a tax increase, ever. But that's amazing to me, that all of the wrongs of the past could be solved. For 100,000 people who have been wronged for years, can be solved with a 0.5 mil increase. And then that solves the problem of the future when they annex the gold and leave the little dirt roads for the county to maintain. It would then be maintained by nothing but everyone in the entire county, rather than the poor folks of the unincorporated area. But that's something to definitely look at in the future.
Now, we couldn't pay for our police department out of M&O though, right?
Yes.
Yes, of course we can. But we could also offer it to all municipalities. So we have a police department that's got jurisdiction throughout the county. If XYZ municipality said, hey, our police department, we would prefer that you just patrol it with the county police department, and we're gonna close ours down. They could do that. They don't have to. They might not want to. They might rather have their own police department, pay for it themselves. But, so the answer is yes, in my opinion.
Great job. And again, I know for the public, we're not
Commissioner
doing this
Stone.
today.
Yeah,
So-
Commissioner Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Farrell, well done. And I too have discussed this with ACCG, this problem of our unincorporated area, which is quite large. I know that we're here today to set a millage and a budget, and I know that we can't change horses in midstream. But we do set policy on this board. And I think that going forward, these are the questions that we as a governing body need to ask ourselves going forward. If this is revenue that should be part of Chatham County to help the citizens of Chatham County, then we need to look in that direction. So I appreciate the detailed presentation, and I think that we need to ask ourselves here what we need to do to move forward in order to be the most cost-effective county in Georgia and the most innovative county in Georgia. So I would just ask going forward, I realize that we cannot do anything here today, but for this next upcoming budget year, this is where we need to put our energy.
All right, anybody else? Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right.
And that concludes,
right.
concludes my presentation. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the commission and the chairman on this particular item, and also for the benefit of all the citizens of Chatham County that may be watching this or get a news report from WTOC or the Savannah Morning News. Thank you.
All right, and let me just say now, in looking into the fact of eliminating the SSD and looking at the other counties who don't have SSD, if you go back and look at their millage rate, some of their millage rates are anywhere from 14 to 18. In fact, one place is even 22. So you think about whether you want to go to 14 or 22 before you decide that you want to get rid of the SSD and take. Listen, this thing is bigger than all of us. Even the folks at ACCG didn't recommend that we do that when we had them to research that. All right, so I understand all the passion and I understand all, but what is best for Chatham County? And that's where we need to
Mr.
stay.
Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank Commissioner Farrell for that presentation. As a newcomer on the commission, on the board, I totally get it now. I'm thankful that he made that presentation so that we can have something to think about in the next year.
And
Thank you so much.
What I would say to all of us is make sure you get all the facts because you got to decide. Now, right now, our millage rate is 11.543. What if you had to pay 15.5.3 or 18.5.3? So you got to think about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Okay, we move on now. Let's go to the table item that's on our request board of commissioners to declare as surplus property a portion of unopened right-of-way which connects to the northern right-of-way line of Old Tybee Road. The unopened road is continuous to the properties near the old William Seafood, that's District 4. Mr. Manager, we have Mr. Lotson here, or what do we need to do with this?
No, that's the county.
Yeah.
This is county.
I think, first of all, this is for consideration of the board. They can do it, they cannot do it. But I try to give some background. Since the last meeting, we got a better map. And if you look at the aerial map on page 20.
On 20 on your electronic.
Right.
You will see that there's outlined in red there what would be the right-of-way that we're discussing. And the gentleman to the upper right-hand side corner is the owner of those properties up there. He'd like to purchase that right-of-way. My understanding is it's to be used for a parking lot. The road's going nowhere. If you look at along the straight line there, the long yellow line there, that's the Old Tybee Road right away that acts as kind of a frontage road for all those businesses along there. And the land between there and the highway is right away also. At the last meeting, the question was raised as to whether the county ought to sell that unopened right-of-way for fair market value to the gentleman, because at some point, near as estimate as we can, it's been set back several times on the DOT's list of items. The Bull River Bridge will be replaced, and in all probability, not based on a plan or any structures, but based just on common sense, they would probably construct the new Bull River Bridge immediately to the left of the existing bridge as you head towards Tybee, and then would probably deconstruct the old Tybee, the current bridge, once the other bridge is complete. We're probably at least 5 years out from having that project available. If you look at the unopened right-of-way called 12th Street there, it connects to the old Tybee Road, and then it moves sort of in a northward direction. And I would say a good 1/3 where it fans out at the top, probably 50% of that is true marsh. So that road will never be extended through all that marsh further up to the property owners that you see sort of hanging down at the top of the map. Those property owners are all served by a separate road that cuts in front of their property. So they would really have no use for an extension of the road or a cut through. At the last meeting, there was a question of whether that particular property, given the fact there may be future development along there, might have some purpose towards construction. And that would be, and our thoughts were primarily as a lay-down yard for the materials you need as you go through the bridge. Nathaniel Panther, Assistant County Engineer, has discussed that with the DOT officials and have sent them the map, sent them the information and said, hey, you guys think you'll ever need this? They have indicated that that would be unsuited as a lay-down area. It's too tight, and that in all probability, they would go to the other side of the current Highway 80 and, you know, excavate, clear some land and use the land on the other side as a laydown. That might require them to temporarily get a construction easement and pay a price and condemn that property for the construction easement. So the property does not serve a public function presently. It does not serve a public need as near as we can tell for the future of the county. We do not have any utilities lying in that right of way. If you chose to sell it, we would go ahead and advertise it, put it up by either the public auction or sealed bid method. And the highest responsive bidder would be the person that we would award that to. Mr. Quentin Marlin, attorney here in town, represents the person that is interested in acquiring this property, and I have kept him informed as to what the concerns of the commission were. And he's here should you have questions, or whether he has a presentation, I really don't know.
Should we not put it on the floor
Yeah,
before we
that
get
would
to
be
that?
a good
That would be
thing
the
to do.
proper thing to do, in my
Yes, sir.
opinion. Okay.
Then take
So
comment.
now, I'll get to you, Ms. Wynn. The recommendation is to declare the land surplus. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Well, you gotta remove it from the table first.
Oh, yeah, all right, okay. Is there a motion to remove it from the table?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please vote. Everybody. Okay, Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, all votes saying. Now, the recommendation is to declare it surplus. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And all you're doing today is declaring it
Right.
surplus.
Second.
That's all.
Available for
All right, it's properly motion and second that the land be declared surplus. Now, ready for the question now, Mr. Marshall, you can come on.
And I have a question too.
Okay, all right.
He made the motion.
Let him make his presentation, and then that may answer your question, it may not. And then I'm talking to Commissioner Whiteley. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hart and I have been discussing this for about a month or so, and he's presented it well. I'm here to answer any questions the commission may have, but I think he's pretty well covered that it's a pretty small space, not really usable for any other use.
Okay. All right, okay, Commissioner Whiteley, you had some question?
Well, my question isn't necessarily to Mr. Marlin. It is more so a question for staff. How often, or have we at any point done a study of some sort to find all the other pieces of land like this that may bring us back to where we are today?
Yeah, we identified in the last year all county-owned properties. So we're doing basically, you know, a look at all of them. What do we need to keep? What
Right.
could you surplus, kind of in totality? Because there's some we absolutely do not. If we can get them back on the tax rolls, let's get them back on.
Right.
So we're doing that now.
The assessment is being done.
We do have a lot of unopened right-of-ways from old subdivisions the name in the legal profession is they're tabletop subdivisions, meaning they were plats that were drawn on a tabletop, and the road was supposed to go here and the road was supposed to go there, and back in the 20s, they all got filed, and we had the Great Recession and the subdivisions never developed. I mean, a good example is Wilmington Park on Wilmington Island is a re-subdivision of Burroughs Farms, of a re-subdivision of Walltower subdivision into Wilmington Park. So you've had three re-subdivisions there, and we've had to deal with the unopened right-of-ways that existed from the previous tabletop plats. And it's just a thing of nature. We generally try to leave those unopened right-of-ways alone until somebody expresses an interest, unless we have an interest in extending the road there. Sometimes we do. But typically we let the economy and the market try to drive what's gonna happen to that, because you don't necessarily know where development's gonna go, and you don't wanna try to make a decision and then say, oh, yeah, I wish we need to buy that back or we need to condemn it. So we're not interested in doing that either. But on this particular piece, given the fact that the road can't extend through the marsh, it's not like it was in the 30s where you could fill the marsh. It's a road to nowhere. And you can see where the storage facility kind of backs up to that. And everything at the top of that plat from where you see all the white, that was at one time property of the Williams that had Williams Seafood there. So, that's the long and short of that. But we have a pretty good idea of most of the property we own. I mean, if it's a property that we acquired through title, yeah, we know about it. But if it's a marginal little piece of strip of property that was part of a road that was drawn on a map but never developed, occasionally we get that. A lot of times we get that from people who want to buy the part of the right-of-way because they have a lot that doesn't meet the new zoning requirements for minimum lot size, things like that.
And Mr. Marlin, do you know what this property is zoned as currently?
I am not sure what it's zoned as
Or
right
do we know?
now.
I don't think the right-of-way itself would be zoned.
Zoned because it's a right-of-way.
Because it belongs to the county,
Technically a
we can
right-of-way.
basically do anything we want with
Right.
county property in the county.
Most of that property in there is planned commercial of some type.
Right.
Now, we've got about 5
Those adjacent
different
properties?
Yeah, because it
subcategories
was
of that,
commercial
so-
from the old days.
All right.
All
All
right.
right, thank you.
All right, did we cover everybody? All right, yes, sir.
First, I want to thank Mr. Marlin for reaching out to me this week and going over some issues that I had with the right-of-way. I also want to thank staff for presenting a much better, more detailed graphic. It appeared, the last time I looked at this 2 weeks ago, that it was a rather large section, and now it appears to be what it really is. So I'm going to support the recommendation to declare it surplus.
Okay, appreciate it. All right, now on the table is your vote. All those who in favor of declaring it surplus, please vote. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Commissioner Milton votes yes. It is therefore done. All right, moving on, we go to items for individual action. The first is the board vote on the following appointments, reappointing Helen L. Stone to the Chatham Area Transit Board. Is there a motion?
Second.
There's properly motion is second that Ms. Stone be reappointed to the CAT Board. Alderman, please cast your votes. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. All right, second, reappoint Bobby Lockett to the Chatham Area Transit Board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion is
Yes.
second. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Milton votes yes. Reappoint Kenneth A. Adams to the Chatham Area Transit Board. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
All right.
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Milton votes yes. All votes are in. Appoint Betty Simmons to the Ralph Mark Gilbert Civil Rights Museum Advisory Board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly motion is second. Please cast your votes. Commissioner Milton.
Yes.
All right. Reappoint Chris Blair to the Coastal Region Commission. Is there a motion? Properly motion is second. Are you ready for the question? Please vote. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Appoint, is she pronounced that Tanya? Tanette or Myers to the Coastal Regional Commission? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please cast your vote. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, appoint Sabrina Kent to the Coastal Regional Commission.
So
Is there a
moved.
Second.
Properly motion is second. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Appoint Ben Lewis to the Savannah Chatham Council on Disabled Issues. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please cast your votes. Commissioner Milton?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Adams, all right. Appoint Laura Nottingham to the Live Oak Public Library Regional Board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a second. All right, properly motion is second. Please cast your votes. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, appoint Maria Roseman to the Liberty Oaks Public Library Regional Board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion is second. Please cast your votes. Commissioner-
Yes.
All right. Appoint Benny Walsh to the Live Oak Public Library Regional Board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Properly motion is second. Please cast your votes.
Yes.
All right. Appoint Andrea Kurtz
Conley.
Conley to the Chatham County Recreation Authority. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion is
Yes.
second. Please cast your votes. Commissioner Milton votes yes. Reappoint Sandra Carson to the Chatham County Recreation Authority.
So
Is
moved.
there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion is second. Please cast your votes.
Yes.
All right. To request approval of the following budget amendments and transfers in the American Rescue Plan Fund, increase revenue and expenditures, $28,109,192.50. In the in the Emergency Rental Assistance Fund, increase revenue and expenditures, $9,200,320.80. And the general fund transfer $60,000 from the Aquatic Center operations to capital improvement. 4, and the capital improvement fund, increase revenue and expenditure, $60,000 transferring in from the general fund. Is there a motion?
Second.
Properly motion is second that the request be approved. Are you ready for the question? Please signify by voting. Commissioner Milton?
Yes.
All right. To adopt the fiscal year 2023 budget resolution and tax year 2022 millage levy resolution from the general fund M&O pursuant to OCGA 48-5-32.1 and approve submittal of the tax year 22 property tax digest to the Georgia Department of Revenue for approval, including Form PT-35, county's millage rate certification, and Form PT 32-2, computer of millage rate rollback percentage increase in property taxes for tax year 2022. Is there a motion?
Second.
All right, is there a second? All right. Adoption of number 3, the fiscal year
We gotta
2023
vote.
budget.
We got to vote.
We gotta vote. You just did
I-
that.
We didn't vote.
I know, didn't, I did a motion?
No,
got-
we already got it.
You got the motions.
In the second?
Yes, sir.
All right, now we're going to the vote.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to read what we voted on. All right.
Question.
All right, question?
All right, on item 3, are we just voting on the millage rate, or are we voting on the budget, or both?
You're voting on the budget.
The
Voting on
budget is
both.
later.
The millage rate is 10.518.
Right, you need
But-
to, you want me to read those into the
But the
record?
budget's number
That-
6, correct? We vote on the
No, the
budget.
budget's number 3.
This is my question.
Okay.
On number 3, is this the millage rate that we're voting on and the budget?
Budget,
And it's going from,
from 11.543 to 10.518.
Then
Alright.
what is number 6?
We'll get to number 6, we're not there
Because
yet.
no, I mean, I think we're trying to decide whether we're voting on just the millage or the millage and the budget.
Number 6 is all the funds other than the general fund and the SSD fund and CAT. It's all the rest of the
Right.
budget.
But
So,
3, 4, and 5
so
are
this
both.
is the millage and the budget that we're voting on
And number
with
3.
number 3, correct?
Number 3, yes.
For the
Okay,
general
well, then
fund.
I have a.
For the M&O.
Right, okay.
Okay,
I-
your question?
My question is for the SSD, so I'll wait.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, yeah.
All right. I just, we already got the motion. I know it's on the floor, and I just like to say.
No, but we under readiness, so you can ask a question, go ahead.
Or, I would just say for simplicity purposes, perhaps in the future, we could make these separate items. I know before we had them, they were separate items.
Yeah, you have to
For
write
them-
it like,
for them
The
to
way
be-
it's done.
for it to be like it is on here, it's the state.
I mean, we got a 7 on there that, you know, which, we rejected all this, we got a 7.
Right, I understand that.
Right.
First 3 or 4 take care of the rest of it.
You gotta do
What
the
did they
M and
do?
O, and then after the M and O, you're gonna do the SSD, and then after the SSD, you're gonna do the,
No, I'm talking about.
The
we're
way it's
doing
written.
the Budget.
Yeah.
And the millage rate in the same action.
Right.
Is what I'm talking
That's
about. I
state law.
understand the difference.
it's state law.
Chair.
All right, did I get everybody, did I get you all over here? Did I get you? I
Yeah,
was over here,
that's,
I'm
that's
coming.
the clarity I wanted, and, you know, I want to wholeheartedly endorse this significant millage decrease for all the property owners in this county.
Okay. All right, now, Commissioner,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to also state that I'm thrilled and excited during these very trying times of outrageous prices on everything, that to be voting yes to reduce property taxes for every single person owning their home with their Stevens Day exemption, homestead exemption in place. This is going to be great for you, and it's just an honor to work with everyone here, and I'm thrilled more so this year than any other year to be able to take part in something this big, when the news has been so bad. Chatham County, Georgia's reducing taxes. So
all right.
that's
And,
the great thing.
who else I got?
Aye.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank our constitutional officers for working with us to get it there.
All right, come on.
Mr. Chairman, I certainly agree with my fellow commissioners that we vote positive for this particular action.
All right. And let me say this to all of you now. I want to stop right here before we adopt this, and I want this commission to give the staff, especially the finance staff, a hand for coming up with this, and I'm gonna tell you why. I went up there going crazy, because I went up there saying we can come up with 2 mils, a 2 mil decrease in the millage rate, all right? And they went through all the numbers and told me, Mr. Chairman, we can't go 2, but here's what we can go, all right? And I'm saying to you, the adoption of the millage rate in all 3 areas gives us the funds we need to operate, and in case there is a category hurricane, or evacuation, or whatever, we're still on solid ground. We just met with the folks from, the national folks from FEMA and the rest, all right? And they too looked at our plans for evacuation and the rest, and so I'm just saying, we gotta give kudos to the finance team, because I drove them batty, okay?
Mr. Chairman, given all,
Yeah.
that's why we're voting for it.
Yeah, and because I drove them batty, because I was really trying to get to 2 mils, all right, a decrease, and they told me it just wasn't possible, not to be on solid ground, and we need to be on solid ground, all right? Everything said, please cast your votes. Let the world know, Ms. Milton.
Yes,
All
I'm
right.
very happy to vote yes on this.
Okay, Chatham County has reduced the millage rate, all right? All right, now, to adopt the fiscal year 2023 budget resolution for the Special Service District and adopt a millage levy resolution pursuant to OCGA 48-5-32.1. In addition, authorize the chairman to sign, and I'll be happy to, sign Form PT-35 County Millage Rate Certification and Form PT 32-1 compensation of millage rate rollback percentage increase in property taxes for tax year 2022. The forms are required to be certified and submitted to the Georgia Department of Revenue for the digest approval for tax year 2022. Is there a motion?
Second.
Properly motion is second. All right, let us look at the unreadness. Commissioner Farrell.
First of all, I'd like to ask what for everybody's consumption, what is the current millage rate for the SSD?
The current millage
And-
rate for the SSD is 4.801 mils.
And what is the
new rate?
The new rate?
The new rate will be 4.502, which is a decrease of 0.299 mils.
Okay.
Point 0.29. All right, I said 22, didn't I? 0.29 mil, that's what the new rate is.
Okay. So that is very encouraging to see the millage rate roll back in the unincorporated area. However, I do have a couple of questions on the 2023 proposed budget. One is on page 52 of our budget book. Under the total special service district column, we have FY 2023 requested of $42,508,724, and under the column FY 2023 proposed, it's $46,408,000. So there's approximately $4 million more money in this budget than what was requested. So that's my first question, but I have more. So if I could pause for a moment and see why on page 52,
Okay.
we have a proposed budget that's $4 million more than requested. Normally, in this process, for all the folks that are paying the tab out there that may be listening, we get much higher request than what we actually grant or propose. This is an unusual situation from my perspective to see that requested money is less than what the manager is proposing here, approximately $4 million more dollars. So I'll pause for a moment before I ask my next question to see what the explanation is. I mean, I know it's a total
Sure.
of all the requests, but that's a rather large increase, 10% roughly, 9 to 10% more than what was
Sure.
requested.
It's a combination of things. First of all, we did have additional, for instance, police department, several areas last year that we had, or for this fiscal year, that we included. So that caused the budget overall to go up. We also had increases in areas, such as, our benefits. So those are two big items. What else, Linda, or
Well,
some
why-
other big areas? The indirect cost, yeah.
So,
Level.
Go ahead.
The indirect cost was put in at the budget level and not the request level.
okay. All right. Well, that leads me to my second question, which I may sound like a broken record up here if you listened to me last year and the year before and the year before. On page 49, under general administration, staff is recommending, in 2021, the actual indirect cost allocation, which I voted against, was $3.2 million. This year, the proposed is $3.838 million. And as I would like to tie in this with my earlier presentation, I feel like under the circumstances that due to the unequal participation in revenue streams that the SSD currently is saddled with, that asking for the SSD people to transfer nearly $4 million into the M&O budget does not make sense to me with those circumstances. Now, if you had a perfectly level playing field, I would wholeheartedly agree with all the calculations that staff went through to come up with this number. I think they thoroughly looked at it and all that sort of thing. And they calculated it accurately as one could hope. But this board or past boards created the SSD. We approve or disapprove budgets, and we approve or disapprove line items in this budget. So I just, for the life of me, do not see why this keeps coming up, and we add insult to injury to the SSD property tax payers, that we extract this much money and transfer it over to M&O, knowing that those third of the county population does pay 40% of the total M&O property tax part of the collections. And the SSD categorically is denied through statute and legal court case any participation in the rollback for the SSD. We can't roll back through the lost. You know, we have to donate our share to the other cities. So this is one small item in the greater thing. It's 9% of the budget, 9%, which is small. I mean, $3.8 million is not a small amount of money, but but again, I can't consciously vote for a budget that includes an indirect cost, having known what I know about the unequal participation in revenue streams through franchise fees and local option sales tax. Because this is something that is totally controlled by the 9 people that were duly elected to represent the unincorporated area. So I've asked staff last year not to do this, and apparently they doubled down and went from 3.2 to 3.8. So now I'm asking my fellow commissioners to consider extracting that part or a portion of that part or something to try to do something more balanced and more fair and just and reasonable to the taxpayers of the unincorporated area, 100,000 people whom you are effectively the mayor and city council for. So put on your SSD caps for a minute and just ask yourself, is this a fair, just, and reasonable extraction of funds to move over to the M&O? Because I don't know of any cities, we have 7, are any of the 7 cities adding anything, putting anything into the M&O from their budgets? I'm not aware of it.
They would not. I mean, this is county, so you don't do it from cities. But
Right.
this is, and using your analogy that we started, I guess, a few months ago, is the city of Chatham, which is SSD, has to pay or should pay its fair share of some of those M&O items, almost like, almost like we're sitting over here as it's gonna be the wrong term, but almost like an enterprise of sorts. So Linda, or I want y'all to give a little more detail, please.
Well, I would like to say, just for perspective, that there are no counties out of 159 that I'm aware of, and I'd be glad to hear, where they take specific funds out of the unincorporated area and transfer it directly for the benefit of the whole county. Because first of all, there are only up to 6 as last count of SSDs in the whole state, out of 159. So that's 153. There is no such thing as an SSD. There is no such thing as a separate millage rate for them. So, again, if we were on level footing and sharing in revenue streams, I would agree with staff. I would agree with the number. But we are not. And this is something that the 9 people up here control. And just as me as one vote, I cannot support doing this again this year either. So, but that's all I have to say. But thank you for listening.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Kicklighter.
Thank you. I agree. It's a difference in philosophy with the staff and what you just stated. You pointed out so well today how much money the unincorporated area, due to state law, pretty much pays into the M&O. I have no issue. But the only problem I would have with, that was great. But let's say you just mustered up, man, you mustered it up. We knock it off. what do we do? What does that do to that M&O budget we just passed? Because something has to absorb it, because
Right.
if we truly, like, I'm all for it, man. I, like you, represent a huge unincorporated area. And I would love to tell those guys that, hey, we just finally came through. Pat, what happens? If
Well-
we do this today,
Well-
what happens to
Well,
the M&O?
that is a great question. I can assure you that there are many needs in the unincorporated area that are getting underfunded, such as road maintenance in some of our higher profile areas.
So
That
your
could use the
recommendation
4
is
million.
to what? Reduce the millage rate by a little
Well-
bit more right now?
Well, here would be a possible recommendation. Rather than to fly off the cuff and see what it would do, perhaps we could table this part of the budget and let staff come back to us and tell us what it would look like if we took this 4 million subsidy, which of course the SSD is subsidizing lots of folks throughout the county, and what it would look like. Because I can't answer that question, because I haven't studied. I'd love to have a workshop between now and then and let them run some scenarios by us and what have you.
Time-wise, is that
The
okay?
first-
Do we
no.
have time to table?
No, you gotta have a balanced budget by July 1. And you don't have that time, all right? The second part of this whole thing is, if you do what he's saying, then you're going to unfund some stuff, all right? Like the police department. Because the police department is for the unincorporated area, all right?
No,
So
you
you're
wouldn't
gonna-
unfund it. You'd add 4 million to the police department or wherever this board decided to put it.
I thought
No,
we
that
just
wouldn't
said
happen like that.
Yes, it would.
M&O can pay for the fire.
M&O doesn't pay for the police department.
And plus now,
SSD
you
does.
gotta remember now, you just took on the fire.
That's a fire fee
Fee.
that's like a standalone
separate
issue.
fee,
That's a separate
But
issue.
the thing is now, you remember now, they were at a shortfall, and you're gonna have to make up that shortfall. Let me let the,
Well, we've
the-
already passed, Mr. Chairman, M&O.
Right,
We just passed
yes.
it and the millage.
But
So you'd have to go in there and make up that.
Let's get his question answered. Let's go to, if you don't mind, let's go to, Ms. Davis, who can explain it better than I could. I understand it, but you can
Yes.
explain it better than I could.
Well, if we were to take out the 3.8 million from the SSD, it would decrease it would increase the millage in the general fund, which we've already passed,
Pass, right.
0.224 mils. It would decrease the SSD mills an additional 0.648 mils. And just, the other day I said, I saw an article that said the average house price these days is about $407,000 across the nation. But since this is Chatham County, I pared that down to about $350,000. And if we were to decrease the mill in the SSD by the 0.68 mils, 648 mils, and increase general fund millage by the 0.224 mils, it would save me, a person with a $350,000 house, which is about what mine is, it would save me $61.
Let me ask you, so would that take the 10.518 that we just passed and make it 10.7?
Correct.
10.75.
Wow.
See, so now what you've done, you convert from
undo that.
you converted from giving them a decrease to now giving them an increase.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Right, you gotta make it up somewhere.
And is the 10.7 higher than the mandated rollback in order to not to have to advertise?
We've already advertised the rollback rate.
The advertisement's not an issue.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, but I'm asking,
Yeah.
if you went only, like he wanted to go further, what is the amount that it should have been rolled back just to meet the criteria to not offset to,
Okay, you adopted 10.518.
Yes.
That was the rollback rate.
what would have met the requirement not to have advertised?
11.543, the current millage is what was advertised, so you just can't go above that.
11.543?
4.3.
That's our current general fund millage
That's the
rate.
one you can't go above.
You can't go above that.
And it's,
So you'll be back to where you were
okay,
this time.
so, and we went to 10.518?
Yes.
Wow. So we could absorb it right now. If one of us that just voted in favor was to make a motion to reconsider what we just approved. We can reconsider it. We can add that in. It still is a tax rollback for the M&O.
Yeah.
Still exceeds the mandated rollback
10.75
and
is
just
what you
tax a
need.
tiny bit on, but it actually does some amazing stuff for the unincorporated area, who, as the commissioner really did a fine job showing, has been getting screwed over for quite a while. So at this point in time, since I have the floor, I would like to make a motion to reconsider number 3 under items for individual action.
I second that motion.
Properly motion and second that we go back and reconsider, item 3 on the agenda. Are you ready for the question?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I think you had a motion on the floor for the budget, so you
You've already got something on the floor, so you gotta.
So you have to undo it all.
No, we just gotta undo the, I think I seconded, who? Commissioner Stone made.
Will you
if
take it
would-
off the table?
Will you withdraw your motion on that one?
For discussion, I'll withdraw my motion.
You'll
Does the
withdraw your
second agree?
I agree.
All right,
All right,
so now we have
now-
one motion on the table.
And now, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would like to make a motion to reconsider number 3 under items for individual action.
And I second said motion.
All right, so we ready to vote? Is there more discussion?
Okay,
Well,
yes,
just-
sir. Now that we're on number 3,
Well, first we
I
gotta
would
vote.
like
to do it.
to-
First, we need to vote
You
in the
gotta vote.
affirmative.
oh, we didn't just
To
vote
approve it, to approve,
to a vote, okay,
Yeah.
to reconsider.
right.
And now y'all, you listen, y'all, we doing the same thing again we did last year. When you're going unintentionally, all right, you're talking about intentional consequences and unintentional consequences. You're gonna throw this whole thing back into the same mess that we had last year, and then we had to go back, and then we had to come back after July 1, and.
Not with, I don't believe that's correct.
Well,
I think he's
listen,
got a proposal.
what he wants to do now is go back into number 3, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Deloitte, am I correct?
And
For
recon-
for
and
Okay, and we
reconsider.
wanna redo number 3,
Right.
right? Rather than going back in number 3 and turning it back to 10.518, right?
10.7,
We wanna go back and move that up.
10.7.
To
Which is
10
still a
point
net
what?
decrease
Which is
of
still
a
a
large
decrease.
net decrease.
10 point what? 7.5, which is still a very nice tax decrease.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one thing you could do, just, you can do whatever you want to do, but one thing you can do is you can go ahead and pass the budget that you know what the numbers are, okay? And then if you want to come back and amend your budget to do exactly whatever it is you're doing now, you can do that later.
Right.
But at least staff will know what the numbers are. Right now,
Right now,
you're
they don't know
asking
what
us
the
to
numbers
guess.
are.
I think staff is providing us numbers
They're
right now.
providing us
Yeah, I
numbers to
think the
consider.
numbers don't really
And let's
change.
be sure that we understand that this is our budget and that staff is here to assist us and try to make the
Totally
best sense
understand.
out of it because we're the representatives of the
Oh,
property
calm-
owners.
Calm down. Let's don't
I wouldn't
go
call
there.
minding our taxpayers' dollars mess, though. I would not like to characterize as that.
Not
The
at
same
all.
mess
All right, now.
as last year.
Well, you need to erase what's up there. All right?
Okay, so
Now,
we had a motion to reconsider, and we voted yes to reconsider it.
we haven't voted yet. Everybody haven't voted because we were at discussion point.
Oh,
All right? So now, we're gonna vote to reconsider, right?
Right.
All right. All right, please cast your votes.
I would like to at least have discussion on this.
Absolutely.
And I want to say the same thing. This is my first time doing this virtually like I am now, and I feel like a resident. I feel like I am a taxpayer, and this is so confusing to anybody that's listening. And I would like clarification But what we're doing now should have been done 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, or,
In the budget
I mean,
hearings.
it's,
But the budget
Yeah.
hearing got canceled, so now we have to do it here. We're
And-
having the
and
budget
I'll-
hearing
I'll-
in this
All
consideration.
I'll
right,
state
listen,
this.
we started voting, hold on, so we don't mess up. We started voting. I need a vote from 5, and I
You
need
need
a
a vote
vote
from
from,
me.
yes, ma'am. You
And-
voting yes or
and-
no
what am I voting on?
To reconsider.
to reconsider?
Consider item 3.
Yes, let's reconsider.
All right, and number 8.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, hold on, let me get the votes in. I gotta wait on 8, okay. All right, we're going back to reconsider, all right? Okay,
Okay. Now I'm gonna try to explain a little better.
Let's work on getting the motion. You gotta get the motion.
Yeah.
getting a motion on the floor is what
Okay,
we're working
well,
on,
at this
right?
point in time,
You can put a motion on the floor and then we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
We'll vote it up
Right,
or
well,
down.
that's
or
what-
is
that's
the
take it
millage
off.
rate
That's
to
what he's
accomplish
saying.
I'm not ready to vote yet.
10.75.
Nobody is ready to vote yet. Here's where we are.
Okay.
Please let me get us to where we are, all right?
At
Where we
this-
are is, we've already voted to reconsider, now we need a motion and a second so that we can get to the discussion part,
Okay.
okay?
I got
All
it.
right.
All right, at this time, I proudly, once again, am going to make a motion to approve number 3 with a tax reduction for every single person that has applied for their Stevens Day bill and their homestead exemption. Each one of you will receive a tax reduction because the proposal includes setting the millage rate lower than it currently is and setting it at 10.75 mils, which exceeds the state's mandated advertising, which is ridiculous to say that you're increasing taxes if you don't roll it back to a certain point. We are reducing it further than that already absurd law that they have in place, and it's a wonderful thing for everyone in Chatham County. And by doing this, we're also going to right another wrong that has been put on thousands of people since 50 years has passed. Commissioner Farrell has done a good job asking to right the wrong for 18 years now, I've witnessed. And the reason he sprung it up here today is because nothing has been done. He has now found a way to not totally fix the problem, but to take a step in the right direction, folks, without hurting anybody. Let's just do the right thing and take the step in the right direction. It's not gonna hurt anyone. Everyone wins. Some of the people that's been unfairly paying way more than their fair share for everything, subsidizing costs for everyone living in other cities, will receive a little bit, just a smidgen back. And it's not going to cost our homeowners more. In fact, it's costing all of them less. If they have that Stevens Day bill in place, everybody wins. It's a step in the right direction. I see absolutely nothing wrong with doing this. Commissioner, you did an outstanding job today. Once again, I'll tell you, of presenting that. This is the step in the right direction. I tell all of you that from my 22 years of serving here, this is finally a step in the right direction. It
All
does
right.
not solve it, but it's a step without hurting anyone. So I encourage
That's your
everyone
motion?
to vote for that, is to approve
All
it
right.
with a
Will you
millage
get a
rate of
second?
10.75.
I
Proudly
have a
second.
question.
Hold on,
I'm not ready to vote.
hold on.
We need the millage rate motion
Oh, you gotta
stated,
state
and we need somebody to plug the numbers in. I don't
Yeah,
know.
He,
I want to know what the millage rate
I said
would be.
10.75.
10.75. We
Ten
roll
point
it back
seven.
How
from,
much of a
from
rollback?
11.543. The proposal is to roll it back to 10.75 in the M&O.
Yes.
So
The
that
total
is-
budget stays the same.
Understand, but, okay, so we're not doing a 1 mil rollback,
No,
okay?
it's
so
not 1
what-
mil anymore. It's less than 1 mil, right?
It's 3/4 of a mil, which is pretty close.
I'm
would
just
just-
asking.
And it is a substantial
I,
rollback.
Anything less than the full rollback rate is an increase for the entire county.
But we
By-
just,
by
this
the state's
exceeds the full
definition.
rollback. We do it. I mean, this,
We're not doing the full rollback if we increase it to
I thought y'all just said that it does.
No, see, that's what I thought that you didn't understand.
What
So,
is the
even though I
number?
live
That-
in the unincorporated county and I would pay less taxes.
Okay,
Everybody
but-
else in the county would pay
Would pay
more.
but
more
we're now
taxes.
looking at the 11.5 we're currently 11.543, correct? In the M&O budget.
Yep.
To meet the state of Georgia's mandated advertising, what would that have rolled it back to, that we had to roll it back to offset the increase in the tax digest?
10.518, which is what you adopted.
10.518?
The first time.
Okay, so if we go 10.75, we actually are above what the state said by 2?
You'll be
By-
above the state, but you'll be increasing taxes for some people.
You know, we've voted to leave it the same year after year after year after year.
And there's never an
Because
objection
it's,
till
because
today.
in this county, if you have the Stevens Day bill, it hadn't increased nothing even by not reducing it. So we, in fact, by doing this today, we're reducing it for everyone that should have filed their Stevens Day bill.
But you're not.
And,
You're-
and we're
That's what
correcting
she's
a
trying to get you to
problem.
understand.
We're reducing the millage.
And we're
She's not.
correcting a problem from the past. These people are right when they stand up and say, we live in the unincorporated area, what do we get? We pay separate fire, we pay separate this, we pay separate that. It's true. We're horrible. We really, honest to God, I look at them as an ex-city rep. We basically don't do a damn thing for these people. Darn thing, excuse me.
Thank you.
We don't, except tax them, folks. That's all we do to the unincorporated. We can't dig the ditches out properly. We can't fix the streets properly. We don't do nothing but tax them pretty good. And my God, we ought to get, that's why the rest of the state of Georgia don't do what we do. It's screwed up. And the man just showed us a way to head in the right direction of fixing it. Let's fix it. There is a reason we have, how many counties in the state?
159.
And what, 6 of us do what we do?
Nobody does it like we
Nobody
do.
does this.
We're on steroids for the SSD compared to the other
The
5.
reason
but there are
is it is not
approximately 6
good
total.
management.
Nope.
And this puts us a step in the right direction and gives every single person in this county a tax reduction if they have their Stevens Day bill homestead exemption in place. It's a win-win. That's what we should do.
But aren't you telling us that's not the case? Aren't you telling us it's an increase?
No,
Explain
by
it to 'em.
state law rhetoric, by their rhetoric, they're bullcrap.
If you add the two budgets together, they'll equal.
Yeah, by their
excuse me.
language.
Yeah, by their language. Hold on. Because, listen.
So then you've increased taxes last year then, because we didn't roll it back then, did we?
In the same example I used earlier with the
right,
Okay, so you
Let the
already voted
staff-
for a full tax increase last year then, according to what you're pushing right now.
No, last year we kept it the same way.
Yeah, so if you're
So it
applying
wasn't
the
an
same
increase.
Let's talk one at a
theory,
time.
You're right. Listen now. Let's
So
let,
in the same example I used with the $350,000
Okay.
house, if it were not in the SSD, if it was in the city of Savannah,
Mm-hmm.
or Pooler, or Port Wentworth, or anywhere else in the county other than SSD, my taxes would increase $29.36,
okay,
which isn't a lot,
right. But it's an increase.
but it's an increase.
It's not a decrease.
Correct.
Anything above a 1 mil roll is an increase for everybody,
so you increased it last year.
right? For everybody. Then when you get into the SSD, they will be getting a rollback, right?
But they'll both be getting
Come
a
on,
rollback.
explain.
They'll both be getting a rollback. And at the end of the day, if you add up Commissioner Kicklighter's proposal, when you add up the total taxes collected will be exactly equal. Under his proposal, when you collect SSD tax and M&O tax, they'll be exactly the same amount of dollars raised. He has a slightly different, if he, yes, it will,
All right,
it
just-
will
we need to
equal.
hear from you.
It will equal.
I want to hear you.
Because if you roll,
Don't worry.
if the M&O picks up, if the millage rate goes up a little in the M&O and it goes down a little in the SSD, and we raise the same amount of dollars total throughout the county, I mean, just are, because that's what your proposal is, right,
All
Mr.
right,
Kicklighter?
you through?
Yeah, it should be a
through?
total wash
of
for
order.
that
Point of
small.
order.
Wait a minute.
Point of
You
order.
through? You through?
Yes.
You through? All right, Commissioner Stone.
Thank you, Mr.
I call you
Chairman.
up.
Please explain to me what this direct allocation cost does. I mean, this is a pot of money that is taken from SSD and put into the general fund. And this is the amount of money that we're talking about at this moment between the difference between the rollback in the M&O and the rollback in the SSD. So I would like to know exactly why this money is taken out to begin with, and how to make, I mean, you know, here we are at the 11th hour, supposed to be approving a budget today, and we should have been having this discussion before now. So,
At the canceled budget meeting,
whenever, but it shouldn't be.
workshop.
I mean, we're still dealing with the same amount of money we're gonna collect, but I wanna know why this money's being taken out of SSD and put in the M&O to begin with.
All right, let me ask everybody up here, I'm asking all commissioners. We're gonna call on the staff to give you the information that you're seeking, all right? But please let them tell you, and don't cut across them, and don't tell them they're wrong, and don't tell them, hold it, that ain't this, and don't, let them explain so how we got to what we got to with the recommendation that was made. Who's gonna do that? All right, the finance officer's gonna do it.
Okay, so everything that you have in the general fund admin section, the commission cost, the youth commission, the finance office, the auditing department, legal, HR, facilities maintenance, all of those things are charged to general fund administration. In addition, we also fund the risk management fund, which is workers' comp. You have public safety and you have the police in the SSD. Those are primarily only for the unincorporated area. And they have the highest workers' comp rates. So
That
a
is what
large
comes out the
portion of
indirect.
that is because of workers' comp. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people get run over by backhoes or, you know, rear end somebody in the police car. It's amazing.
Well, I have a question on that, if I can.
So let me make sure that Commissioner Stone has her answer. That is what the indirect costs take care of, what you just got
Correct.
through naming. All right, do you have what you need, Commissioner Stone?
I'm listening to the discussion, but I just want to know why that's so high and why, again, it needs to come out of the SSD and put into
Well,
the M&O.
I think somewhere historically, it's always been around $4 million, but for, I don't know how many years, somehow or another,
No.
it got negotiated down to $1 million, $1. And
That's
then,
more than norm.
we kind of incrementally started increasing that to where it really should be. The 3.8 is where it really should be.
So now, let me make sure Commissioner Stone has everything she needs.
I deeply appreciate the information because I wasn't exactly sure what this $3.8 million entailed.
Okay, you got yours? All right, now, anybody? All right, let's go to Commissioner Kicklighter.
All right, thank you. So I understand what you're saying there, and I believe that all of us want nothing but fairness for all taxpayers in the county. So are you basically stating that the workers' comp and the SSD portion of the budget equates to the $32 million that Commissioner Farrell showed when he did that great presentation that the unincorporated area residents are forced to turn over to the entire county into that every other city, everywhere? I mean, is it $32 million worth?
3.8 million for
Huh?
the indirect cost allocation is 3.8.
3.8 million.
Not 32 million.
So, wow, so that 32 million that he showed, that the unincorporated area people are generously paying out to the rest of the county there, that by far exceeds 3 point whatever million. That's why I said this is a step in the right direction, folks. When you have the unincorporated area paying in the $32 million and they're not getting anything back from it, this is a step in the right direction. You know, I mean, if you took that out of the equation, then I understand, and I do. You're here to present numbers and let us run our mouths, and I appreciate that. And the numbers are correct that you just presented, but to put it in perspective, we're talking the 3.8 million compared to the 32 million that he showed us there. It's only a step in the right direction. Now, I don't know, I'm not here to turn the truck over, and this was basically, and I'm sorry if you didn't want to go that direction today, I took your idea and put it in motion.
I'm a team player, and if that's how we get to the goal line, then I'll follow your lead.
But this is a way to turn it in the right direction. This is something that the manager, everyone here inherited the structurally wrong way to do it. That all of us walked in, and that's the way it was done. And, yeah, Michael's been here forever. He inherited it when he first came here. That's what he inherited. This just puts us a step in the right direction, and we actually have a time to do it without hurting anyone. And we're still rolling back taxes.
You also mixing in the laws with the budget that you're trying to adopt.
No, we're not.
And the laws is,
We're not mixing it in.
it's written on the thing. He wrote it on there, didn't he? It's
We're
written
not,
on
we're
there.
not mixing in lost.
When
We
you-
can't
When you're
give
talking
them
about the
lost.
monies from loss,
We can't give them lost, the unincorporated area. I mean, no, that's what I'm saying. Because of bad state laws, we can't allocate money to them from lost.
okay.
I'll tell you what, I am fine because this was last minute. Commissioner Farrell, can we establish workshops on this subject, schedule them until next year and do this again? Because I don't want to turn it over if that's, I don't want to, I want the public to understand. I can understand after all the years we've been doing this, that the public has no clue to what we're talking about right now.
Well,
I agree.
I had asked last year, and we had come to close to a agreement to roll it back to 2 million, and then this year it went from 3.2 to 3.8. So I don't know how effective that strategy will be. I believe that historically that staff is very enamored with this indirect cost in spite of the huge and different iniquities in the revenue stream. So I don't expect it to go away without board action. I would love to have a workshop on it and look at it. You know, it's a huge budget. Does it have to, why don't we have the rollbacks on both of them and then look at the budget and say, well, we could take some money here, some money there. We got all these unfilled vacancies all over the place because of the economy. We got money budgeted for all these positions. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it. That's your concept was one, and if the majority of the board would agree to it, then it's done. There are other ways to do it. So you know.
So hearing you, before I go there, you wanted to speak, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Go
Chairman.
ahead.
All right, so one thing, just want to make clear, last year, we did not do a rollback last fiscal year, and property values had increased at that point. Therefore, last year, we, in essence, voted to increase based on what you were saying, Mr. Chairman. That's part one. I just wanted to state that fact for clarity, because as we're talking about a rollback and lowering taxes and stuff like that, I need the public to know that your taxes did go up last fiscal year because we did not roll back the millage rate. All right. Another thing is unincorporated does not collect loss. I know that is something we've already been talking about a whole lot, and it's something that we've got to work towards. I think we're here in a lot of ways because of a lack of foresight as a body addressing some of this stuff earlier on. And I understand Commissioner Farrell's challenge and frustration with saying, okay, we've had this conversation last budget year, during budget cycle last year, and we were supposed to get it squared away, and thus here we are again. With everything as it's going, one other point I want to make is that by us adjusting the millage rate, the discussion that we're having now is more so about not necessarily trying to throw everything out of whack, but pulling one millage rate, technically not lowering the M&O millage rate back as far, and then basically giving a teeter-totter effect. So we're not necessarily trying to throw things out of whack. With that being said, hearing our colleagues speak, I would like to ask Mr. Chairman if you would commit to us coming back at midterm and actually hammering this out, you know, so that and if is that a possibility is one question I have, but ultimately, would you commit to us coming back at midterm and hammering this out? Thus, we can go ahead and move forward where we are now, have more time to get into the details.
Let me get from the finance people, all right? Because I don't want to send them into a niche that I already had them in when I was trying to get 2 mills rolled back. Okay, see her smiling at me. That's my good friend now. Because we do have the possibility, all right, answer me if I'm wrong, we do have the possibility of coming back at midterm and making adjustments that we are talking about, that Commissioner Farrell is talking about, but then that would give us at least, what, 6 months of taxes in?
You can adjust the budget, but once the millage rate is set, it's set.
It's set, right.
But
We can't adjust the millage
budget
rate,
at any
but we
time
can
during
adjust
the
the
year.
budget,
Correct.
all right,
And-
so.
And
You
just for
can
the
amend
record, Commissioner Farrell, you're my representative, and I appreciate so much that you're fighting for our taxes. So don't think I'm fighting against you. I just want the truth out there.
Right.
Yes, and again, and I've said it and I'll say it multiple times, what staff is recommending on a level playing field is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Okay, on a level playing field. However, we have an opportunity to level it a little bit, as Commissioner Kicklider said today. We also have an opportunity to level it some more by eliminating the tax district completely and letting the independent state of Chatham be more in line with the other 150-plus counties in this state who has one county budget. All monies go into the county, and all expenses that are necessary that are board approved go out of the county. So there's multiple things that can be done if we work in the spirit of cooperation and professionalism to deliver a fair, equitable, and just product to the taxpayers of this county. Now, again, if you're rolling back a whole mill off the M&O and then you reduce it to 0.8 of a mill, it's still it's still lowering the millage rate, which is always a blessing. And you're lowering the millage rate just a little bit more in the SSD. But at the end of the day, when you roll back one a little bit less and one a little bit more, the math is going to create the exact same amount of funding. All we're going to do is transfer this indirect cost. The SSD will keep its same amount of money and have the same budget, and the M&O will have the same amount of money to work with. It's just a piece, it's just one item out of this whole entire book that will be adjusted. And I think there's a case to do it, because it is an unlevel playing field, how taxes are collected, and a lot of it's out of the hands of the county commission. But this is part that is completely in the discretion, within the discretion of the 9 members of this board.
Mr.
So,
Chairman.
Well, let him finish.
thank you. Don, finish.
All right, let me answer Commissioner White this question that he gave to me, all right? I'm committed to getting this right, all right? Any kind of workshop we need to do, any folks, I think what's missing here, and I don't want to presume to speak for anybody else on this commission but myself, okay? Having gone to them and asked them, can we do this, and then them taking me through it, and then coming up with what you see in front of us now, knowing that this is the best we can do right now, what I would ask us to do is let's go on with what we have in front of us and then do those things you're asking to do. And then if we can come back, but like they're saying now, if we set the millage rate's gonna have to stay where it is, okay? And we can't do that for another year, right? But in the budget, if we look at what the indirect cost is paying for, and again, those are police, managers, lawyers, workman comp, which is our hardest thing, okay? Which one am I leaving out?
Finance, yeah. HR, a huge portion of it too is ICS's budget is very inflated.
Right.
Because they pay the software maintenance fees on every piece of software in the county.
Right.
Police, 911, everyone. And you have to spread that out, because technically those are expenses of the police and the public works. So that's a huge part of that IDC too.
And then too, let's look at, when we speak to the general public, and we have already had 3 people in front of us, so we told them that we were rolling back, all right?
Still would be.
Now we come in, Now we coming back, but you told them then you was rolling back 1 mil, all
I
right?
didn't say 1 mil.
And that's what you put out there. But now you gonna come back and you wanna redo, I'm under the opinion, and we can vote it however the majority vote, that's what we're gonna do. But I would ask that we take the recommendation that we have in front of us, 3, 4, and 5, pass them just like they are, and then come back and do what Commissioner Whiteley is saying. Let's get more in-depth so that, as Commissioner Milton says, it's got her confused now with this the first time she ever gone through like this, all right? That we can do those things and then come back and do what Commissioner Kicklighter asked Commissioner Farrell, would he be acceptable to doing, right? And get it so that we can have something that's not as confusing, because if some of us sitting up here confused, we know that people listening to us
Let me amend my motion
confused.
to approve it like we already had done. I amend my motion to just approve it at the original millage rate.
Am I on legal solid ground for
And
him
if
to
somebody will
withdraw?
amend that second, or I don't have to do anything.
Did you have was the previous motion that you made on the floor?
Was to
Yes.
reconsider.
So it needs to be withdrawn,
Okay,
and then you need to make a new
all right,
motion.
I would like to withdraw my motion.
All right, who second that?
I did, I believe. Oh,
All right.
Second.
I will
No, Commissioner Milton, that's not
withdraw.
second. Hold on.
Okay, now I'd like to make,
I remove my second.
Okay, so now, that's off the floor, right?
now I would like to make a motion to approve number 3 as we previously did with a millage rate of 10.518.
Yeah,
We have to
10.518.
approve it again, or is it already approved? We never rescinded it.
We did approve it earlier, and then we were on
And then we
number
went back to
4 when we-
rescind it.
Was it ever rescinded?
Yes, sir.
We just
We
said
just
we're
need
gonna
to talk
read
one at a time.
Hold it, Commissioner Milton. Say again.
We need to talk one at a time.
Okay,
Right.
so
This
it was
lady
never
has to
not
take
approved.
all 7 voices down at the same time.
All right, now. All right, let's make sure John, let's make sure we're doing this right. All right? They withdrew their reconsideration, all right?
We don't need another motion.
So we already passed
Yeah.
number 3. Do we have to go back and redo number 3, or can we go with? It's already passed?
Right,
Okay,
good.
okay, and so that means it's in.
Yes.
All right, so then we can go to number 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we want to make sure we get it right.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item number 4 as stated, and with the millage rate as was, the rollback as was stated, and I have something in discussion.
That's 4.502,
Second.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's properly motion and second.
Mr.
that we
Chairman,
adopt I'm coming. That we adopt number 4 at a rollback rate of 4.502. All right, now we're
I
in
have
for the,
discussion.
huh?
I have something to say.
Okay, all right. Both of y'all, I'm coming to you first since you made the motion. You got the second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with that being said, I would like to ask staff, if my colleagues would agree, that we actually look to see what we can do to move those indirect costs, to let us see what it looks like, what would be affected. And if we all agree, then we can move forward from that point. But I do understand what Commissioner Farrell is saying, and I also represent a large part of unincorporated Chatham County, and it looks like double dipping. It might not be double dipping as you stated, and I respectfully
But it look like it
appreciate your professional opinion, but it has all the symptoms of double dipping. And, as a former medic, we treat symptomatically, so let's try to look at it and see what we can do. So that's what I want to just ask my colleagues. I don't want Commissioner Farrell to think we're putting this on the back burner, but I also want to make sure staff knows and that it's documented that we would like to remove those indirect costs if possible, but we need to see what it looks like and how it affects everything else.
And I'll commit to get that done. All right, Commissioner Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I concur with what's been said, but I also want to make sure, because I mentioned this last year, that money is in this budget in the SSD for drainage, for Burnside and for Isle of Hope, that I have discussed with the county manager.
That's in, is 1.2?
It's in the budget.
It's in the budget, but it's in the
1.2
ARPA
million in the
budget.
ARPA funds specifically for
right.
those two areas. Then there's also for the entire county, an additional 1.5 million for other type ditches, because it was 900,000 and I moved it to about 1.5.
Okay, because this is something that
It's
we.
in
It's
there.
funded.
It's funded.
We've just got to address it.
Okay.
It's gotten to where it's a problem.
Yeah. All right, so now, did we cover everybody's unreadiness? All right, Commissioner Farrell's unreadiness.
Thank you. I really like the idea that Commissioner Kicklighter had. I think it was a small tweak. It would raise the same exact total dollars of revenue from the county, just a slightly different way to give a little nod to the iniquities of the current overall taxing situation, which we are not totally in charge of. However, I still can't vote for a budget that has these indirect costs in it until, because of the iniquities that are outside of our realm. I would encourage this board, one of the great points that Commissioner Kicklighter made was that we could eliminate the whole SSD for a 0.5 mil increase in the M&O. And that would go a long way to sharing the burden of taxation much more fairly to 1/3 of the population of Chatham County, which we solely represent. There is no city looking after them.
Okay.
Last time I counted, in the 7 cities, there was 50-plus representatives representing those 200,000 people in addition to this county commission. The unincorporated area just has us. So as much as I really like the idea of rolling back the taxes, I will vote against this particular budget because it includes this. But I strongly encourage us to not kick this down the road until this time next year, and that we look at the SSD, we look at the total big picture, and we come up with ideas that make it fair for all the citizens.
Chairman.
Okay? Yes, sir.
All right, I just want to bring this back into perspective. Only we can screw up such a great day by reducing taxes like we did and all of a sudden confusing everybody out there. I just want everybody at home to know that in politics, a lot of times perception is much greater than reality. I do believe that redoing it would have been a little bit better, a little more fair, but perception, because there was not time to properly explain, really would have been a disaster as far as the perception goes, although I do believe that would have been the better route to go. But not to take away from the great thing that we've done here today, which is everyone, the constitutional officers, the staff, everyone here, we are proudly reducing property taxes for everyone in the county with these votes. So please, when I do look on our great WTOC channel later, don't show all that mess, please. Just show that we proudly reduced property taxes for everyone in Chatham County. Good job, everybody. If you don't mind, I'd like to call for the question because I need to leave.
All right. Please vote. That's the only thing left for you to vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Milton votes yes. All right?
One
That
more.
passed. One more.
Can I put
Board
conditions
consider,
on that?
board consideration of tax year 2022 millage resolution for the Chatham Area Transit Authority pursuant to CGA 48.40-55-332.1 and board approval of submittal to the tax year 22 tax digest to the Georgia Department of Revenue for approval, including Form PT-35, County Millage Certification, and Form PT-32-1, compensation of millage rate rollback percentage increase in property taxes year 2022. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve
this property.
All right.
tax
Second.
rollback.
Properly motion and second that the number 5 be approved. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Milton votes yes, and we are done with that. So now,
Can you state the millage rate, Mr. Chairman?
the millage rate will be for Chatham Area Transit, it will be 1.056. 1.056, rather than the 1.150, okay? That's what it'd be, 1.056. Okay, adopt the fiscal year 22 budget resolution for the county. Do we have to do that now that we done passed? We have to do that? Okay. One of them on here, we don't have to do it. Number 7? Okay, all right. All right, for the, county fund and the non-majority special revenue fund and for the debt services fund and for the capital project fund. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner Milton votes yes, okay. Number 6 we can skip.
No, 7.
Number 7 we can skip, right? Number 6 we just did, all right? Okay. So now we're going to Director.
Director Sarhat.
What approval of an intergovernmental contract?
What?
What?
That's the intergovernmental contract.
Oh, no, no,
We
no, no,
skipping
no.
number 7 and going to 8?
No, you don't have to do we don't have to do number 7 because we have,
They were adopted.
we have adopted budget
But number
and,
8 's
and
still
millage
on
rate. Number 8 is the director, right?
Yeah, and I'm just asking to put it in high gear.
So sweet and to the point. Go for it.
Take it easy on me.
Go for it.
All right, real quick, you've got the monthly report.
Right.
So if there's any questions on that, I'll be glad to answer them. The one thing I did want to point out is on page 4, I want to go over the Narcan use and the overdose deaths. Just real quick, the tabulating these has always been a chore, and so up until the last couple of months, the numbers included Chatham EMS, their dispensing of the Narcan. We tried to get that switched over so that they were dumping their data into OD mapping, and we're still working that out. So really, the numbers are really off on the use of the ODs, of the Narcan, okay? So basically, without getting all the way down to the numbers, the May number really, year-to-date, should be 400, okay? So that's a very big increase from last year to this year. The upside to that is that if you go down to the overdose deaths, we're at half. Okay, so the deaths are coming down, guys. So I think awareness and getting out there in the public and keeping their fingers crossed, the deaths are coming down. Now, I got, at OD mapping, the number is 15, but when I talked to the folks at GBI at the lab in Atlanta, the number is 18. Okay, so we're looking at 18, and of those 18, fentanyl was present in 15 of them. So we're still running really high. Fentanyl is that's the one that's killing us. Okay, so and those aren't final numbers because they're lagging numbers with getting back the results from the tox screen. So, and then moving in here. Okay, so just want to reiterate, we are seeing fentanyl in all of our opiates, cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana, and all the pills. Okay, so pills seized on the street is up 4,850%. I'm not quite sure what that number really looks like. Yes, ma'am?
Just real quickly, talking about the Narcan use, Narcan won't do anything for fentanyl, will it?
Yes, it will. That's exactly what's saving everybody.
Okay.
So.
I thought that was just for the opioids, but.
No, the fentanyl is an opioid. It's just, it's 50 times more potent than a heroin, which is also an opioid. Okay? So So it slows down your respiratory rate instantly, just like an opioid would.
Okay, I was just curious as to whether that was used for fentanyl as well as
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
opiates.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so, you know, the rate of seizure of the pills across the country is just skyrocketed. And everything's laced with fentanyl. Okay? Just to put that in perspective, my office, my guys and gals seized this 2 weeks ago. That is a pill press that is set up to manufacture pills, and the drugs on the right are fentanyl. So locally, we're producing these pills. Okay, we just did a search warrant last week. I bring this up because I'm getting into the schools, and as you can see on the left, those are THC gummy packages. And that's what that looks like. And as you can see from that, that is pretty much, you know, marketed to the youth as far as I'm concerned. Okay? So that is, and I will argue till I die that marijuana is a gateway drug, and I'm not going to take up your time on that right now. Okay, this is wax, which is THC wax that we also seized. And then I threw this in. It's a Pew Research Center just kicked this out, and I put this in mainly to show that these opioid deaths are across the board. It doesn't matter rich, poor, white, black, Asian. It's going up. It is touching every social and economic and demographic basis in the country. So, all right, so I've broken this down to education, public awareness, enforcement, therapy, rehab, and recovery in the aftermath. So just in the last 2 months, I did a presentation of the safety and wellness being mini conference for the Savannah Public Schools. They are very interested in and I'm very much a part of getting in and getting that information to the schools, the middle schools. That presentation I did to all the principals of the high school and the middle schools. And so they had taken part of my presentation that we gave them on the front end to look at. They sent that, one of the principals sent it to all of the teachers and through their email system, and she got great feedback which is positive, because then, you know, they're more inclined to let us put that into the curriculum. And then just Tuesday, I presented, GEMA invited me over to the Georgia School and Homeland Security Conference in Columbus. I presented over there. That was very well received, and a part of the audience was numerous educators across the state that afterwards came up to me and said, hey, we want that package. So I've already gotten that to all those people across the state to hopefully start getting that into their systems. And then I was going to go have a meeting today at 11. I'm pushing that off, but a family in crisis. So one thing when we did the Islands presentation that kind of smacked me in the face was we had an individual get up and say, hey, you know, my kid, I'm right in the middle of it, and I didn't have any answers for that family. So I've got myself, a medical MD, a local attorney, Gateway Recovery Place, and we're going to put together a video that we can put up on the website that basically outlines the problem, legally what you can do as a parent or a guardian, what legal rights you have and how to go about it if you have a child, and then the disease itself, an MD to explain it, and then the different things that you can do, you know, if you've got insurance, don't have insurance, and then just kind of wrap that up so to give the public, because I think that's one of the biggest holes in my little plan of attack. And then the family support group is going well. It's the Healing Hearts Family Support Group. There's the address. There's the phone number right there. We are picking up members that we're holding that meeting with the clinician and the family members the third Thursday of every month, and that's a pretty emotional meeting to go to. So that, I get a little fuel for the fire for me. So, other than that, that's it, and thank you.
All right, questions?
Any questions?
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go to the action calendar. Nobody expressed any desire to pull anything off. May I have a motion to accept it in its entirety?
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion the second that we accept the action calendar in its entirety. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Middleton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. First reader. Request board approval of the 2022 revenue ordinance. We'll deal with it more on the next reading. The petitioner, Tammy Hampton, is requesting rezoning of a PDR SM surface mining to R-A residential agriculture zoning district at 241 Broadwater Lane, MP file number Z-222-000-229, pin 1104901018, District 7. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the petitioner's request to rezone the subject property from PDR-SM surface mining to RA residential agriculture. We'll deal with them more next time. All right? Second reading. Amend to the fire service protection fee ordinance. We ready to make the switch? All right, hold on just a minute. We gotta switch gears here. All right. Ready now?
Yes.
Okay. Where we going with it?
Any discussion about the board?
Yeah, any board member?
says,
Yes,
I have a quick question.
sure, question.
Under this fire fee, what about, I mean, I know that you're going to take all the buildings. In other words, is it house, what about secondary decks with pergolas? Does any of that count?
Yes, so everything that we have is now listed in the actual ordinance. On the bottom, there's a table that lists out every ancillary building that we are calculating, including your primary.
So if you have a detached garage, that would count
Yes.
as
If it's in that list, it would count.
okay. I just,
That's it? All right, let me have a motion.
Well,
that everybody
to adopt it.
understands that
Question.
this
Amend it,
isn't
yes.
just your
Question.
house.
Yes.
Commissioner Farrell, question.
all right, you got the word amendment, so what are
Yes.
we amending
So-
in a nutshell?
Yeah, so what we amended, Commissioner, was we had to include an appeal section. What we did is we included a new section that describes all the ancillary structures that we are building so that people know what we are doing. We also had to amend let me make sure it was.
Schedule itself.
Fee schedule.
Yeah, the schedule
Fee
itself.
schedule, the other category.
We added an additional category so that now you have 5,000 to 6,000. Before it was 5,000 to 10,000. Now it's an additional one to reduce that amount down as well. So and everybody else in the other schedules got a lesser rate on their actual house.
All right, so another just general question.
Yeah.
As we're perfecting this as best we can, there'll be opportunities to add other amendments
Yes.
to the fire fee going forward as occasions may arise, and I anticipate, once the bills go out, we'll probably get a whole nother set of reactions and advice from citizens as to how we
Yes.
can do it better.
That is correct.
So this is a fluid document that,
Right.
you know, we can, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So do we have, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
do we have an appeals process in line?
Yes, that's what he was telling you. That's the part we added in.
Yes.
Because it wasn't there at first, but now it is a part of it. There is appeal process, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, motion, please.
Motion to approve.
The
Second.
Properly motion and second that we amend the fire service protection fee. Ready for the question? Please vote. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Milton votes yes. Adopt amendments to Chapter 24, Article 1, Article 2, Article 7, and Article 8 of the Chatham County Code to add Section 24-114-.1, Section 24-206.1, Section 24-706.1, and Section 24-805.1 to provide authority to the county engineers to issue notices, summons to courts, and citations for violation. Note, this item is to be considered at the June 24th meeting, which is today. All right? Is there a motion?
I have a question.
All right, let's get the motions on the floor first. Is there a motion a motion to adopt this, the amendment?
I'm not gonna make that motion.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more about it. I know there was some.
Here,
Can we have
can I make a
discussion
statement?
first?
All right, come on.
Okay.
Let's redo that.
First of all, I'd like to hear more about it, especially from county engineering, you know, the need for it and what it all entails. But I also noticed that in the building community, some of the representatives that were looking at this very closely are not here today and couldn't be here for some reason. So, absent some dire need to do it right away, I would like to continue it at another time. But I would also, you know, if anybody's got something to say, I'd like to hear it, but I'm not prepared to vote yes or no at this particular point without the presence of some of the folks, and I can name names if you want, that would probably like to be here, and I'd like to hear from them because this was gonna directly affect their business and their future for years to come.
We've met with the group twice, and they,
Hold on, Commissioner Milton.
we've met with the group from the Builder Association plus some others who attended twice. And now Mr. Vackwer has represented them, and we made the language change. In fact, they sent the language changes, and we did it as they recommended. So this is based on their recommendation, and they were on go.
Well.
So I just need to let you know, we have done that.
And I appreciate that. I just would feel better passing an ordinance to hear it directly from the horse's mouth. Unless there's some reason this has to be done like
Well,
right
then
away.
I'll make the motion
let's-
to,
go ahead.
I'll make the motion to continue this till the next meeting.
Second.
Second.
All right, proper motion and second that this is tabled or continued to the next meeting. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Milton, how do you vote?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And at the
So-
next meeting, I would like an in-depth explanation from staff to what this is and what it means, so everybody in the public can hear it. And then I'd like to, I'd like to hear from somebody in the building development community
Okay.
to
That email
critique it.
from the gentleman and Mr. Vacker, we did not send it out?
We got the email, but it
I-
still had one exclusion.
I'm not
What
saying
exclusion
that
was
that's
that?
not great information, but
I'm not clear on what it was because it was, Mr. Backer agreed to everything, but he said there was one thing that was still, I'm not really clear, but I read the email and I know that he had approved speaking with the builders, but there was still one thing that was left up, and I just rather continue this
Do we
so
know
that we
what the
can
one
get
thing-
clarification.
It was actually clarified, but if we need to hold
All
off.
right, let's
next meeting, that's fine.
just hold off until next
yeah,
time.
I'd just like to hear it from.
And then if they wanna
directly.
come, they can come. If not, all right?
Then
All
I
right, that
can make
takes
an
us to-
informed and accurate
Right.
vote from
All right.
my point of view. So
All right,
thank you.
that takes us
Appreciate
to, that takes us to informational item. You have your informational packet. Is there anything, Mr. Manager? Is there anything you need to stress in the information packet?
Were we gonna hear about the recreation center today? I thought there was something in there.
Still some more information that needs to come. No, they don't have the depth.
I thought I
Something you
saw
asked them
something.
for. I know it was in Tuesdays. See, and that's what I'm trying to get us to do. don't put it on there until we got all the.
No, I
items.
didn't ask for anything. I thought I read something that there was gonna be some
When they sent,
information
I think
presented
when they
today.
sent out the rough draft, the one Tuesday,
We were waiting for information back from engineers, so
right.
we need that,
And
and
that
then.
wasn't in there.
And then things across the river happened, so.
You're right.
Bless engineers' heart, they've been over there for days.
yeah,
So
and we
everything
didn't
fell
get
apart.
that information,
So
that's
how
why it's
about the
not in there.
consultants? Were they on Hutchison also, or that were working
No,
on this
they're just
project?
behind.
Well, this is a project that's important to me and many people on this board, and if we can't get with somebody that can get going, can we find?
These folks are doing fine.
Well,
I would not say they're.
Well, let's keep it,
We are.
moving at a
We
good
are.
pace. I think the first answer we need is, what's the, recommended acreage for, to put this, magnificent site that will be a crown jewel in the properties and recreation opportunities that this county will offer it.
Okay. All right, there is a need for us to go into executive session, and that is for appointments, real estate, and for the, yeah, real estate now, okay. May I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A second? All right, properly motion and second that we go into executive session. Are you ready? Please vote. Commissioner Milton?
I vote yes, and I have a
Okay.
question.
Yes,
Do
your
I
question.
need to dial in for the executive session, or do I just stay on?
Janice will call you because you can't do it through what you're looking at, the way you are
Okay.
now. She has to call
Okay.
you. All righty.
Okay, thank you.